Hi, Rock. Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Sound check. Oh, my beautiful face doesn't have things on it. Unfortunately, my nose has been.
You're still dotted up pretty good there.
Oh, I got chemical cautery in there that's a bit uncomfortable right now. Not horrible, but yeah. Eva said he got a lot. Yeah, it took him like 5 of those silver nitrate Q-tips to.
And I'm still saying we need to save the boogers and refine them.
Yeah, she wants to save my blood clots from my nose and refine them for the silver nitrate.
Yeah, right.
I just want to see if it can be done.
She's got OCD.
I want to see if it can be done.
It's too small of a
Cool.
small of a sample.
Oh my goodness.
It would make a cool video.
Oh, anyhow, so stop picking it.
Yeah.
Huh? What are you talking about, Chris?
Yeah.
Oh, you think I was picking it? It was that stupid doctor that shoved that tampon up my nose. That was the guy that hurt it. It started leaking again by Wednesday, so I went back into the ER. Hey, Bryce, how's it going? And so he just put more pressure in it.
Here.
And I'm doing okay, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And so then Friday, that had to come out. The balloon had to come out. They have limits on how long they can keep stuff in there, I presume, because it can get infected or this or that.
Exactly.
So anyhow, went in, they pulled it out. Wasn't bleeding. Yeah. Went and got Eva her Montana driver's license, came home. I cooked lunch and started leaking again badly. So I put a nose clamp on it. I got 2 of these now. One for at home, one for in the truck. But anyhow, so put a nose clamp on it while Eva finished her lunch. I didn't eat anything because who knows what they're going to do, you know. Went back to the ER. This time I got a female doctor, and she looked at it, and she goes, yeah, there it is right there. And she tried to do the silver nitrate thing. Yeah, couldn't stop it. So put in some kind of a coagulant sponge. And it was a lot more comfortable than the balloon. That's for sure. Let's see. So, yeah. Hey, Mr. Lodak, Patriot. Yep, said hi there.
Yeah.
Trauma pack. No, it was just a little sponge about this long and square cross section. I'm not sure if that's what it is there, but yeah, it was much more comfortable and it worked. So today I got in with a ear, nose, and throat guy, and hey, Lauren.
Hey, Lauren.
Hey, I need if you can text me tonight who to vote for tomorrow, I'd appreciate it, because with the not being able to read off the ballot who's like a Republican or a Democrat or whatever, it makes it a little more confusing. Gee, imagine that.
Hello, Edson.
Hi, Edson.
Glad you're here.
Arequipa, eh? Man,
Peru. That's cool.
Edson's watching from Peru, little one. They're having real fun.
Yeah, all kinds
over
of fun
there.
down there.
Yeah, that's good.
There's all kinds of mining issues going on.
Hey, Prospector Phil.
Yeah.
Good. We got a good turnout already tonight.
Yeah.
12 people already.
Yeah. So anyhow, he went at it with the silver nitrate, and he was like, aren't you going to use electrocautery? Now, I understand Eva's thing, but he's like, I've been doing this 25 to 30 years, and seriously, this is the best way to do this. I'm looking at it.
And if it blows up again while we're out mining, don't you even complain.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a little while.
He's got a nose clamp.
Yeah. That's why I've got one. See, one's over there in that box that goes in the truck when we go mining.
Yeah, keep it handy.
Yeah.
I'm
doing okay, Edson. Unfortunately, with all the trips to the ER, I had 4 last week, and the rain, which kind of messes up, damp ore doesn't grind very well. It just sticks and stuff. So we only got 625 pounds of ore crushed this week. And so we've only got partial batch in the tank digesting right now. And I'm supposed to take it easy for the next few days. So we'll see.
Yeah.
How that works
See
out.
how that works.
Tomorrow, the plan is, after voting and doing a few other things, go out to the ranch there and work on laboratory stuff, and also doing that hand sorting of the rocks.
The bigger ore.
Yeah, the coarser ore, so we can, determine various rock types that will then crush and assay separately to see if we can identify particular rock types that are either, yeah, that's ore, or yeah, if it looks like that, just throw it over the dump. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, that's correct, Chris. But since this is the first time I've actually had the problem, haven't worried about it too much for now. We have plans we can put into place. Unfortunately, because we didn't have the RC46 on schedule, which was like a month ago, the hand sort, all that stuff should have been done by now, and we should have had about a 1 ton, 1.5 ton stockpile sitting there. That didn't happen. So we're kind of a little bit behind the curve there, but oh well.
You'll catch up.
Yeah. Also running into some interesting phenomena with respect to the milling. Now, this is something some guy on the internet from Norway called Chris that I talk about other stuff, not mining with. I was trying to use this as an explanation of why I don't trust information in general, because I know that information is not precise and it's usually not accurate in terms of it. It has a certain error bar associated with everything.
No.
And in the particular case of mining and determining your ore grades and things like that, it has to, not much yet, Lars. I'm not bleeding, but I'm hurting.
You're doing good,
Not bad.
Lars. You're here.
When you're dealing with mining, the ore is generally heterogeneous. It's not all the same, both on the gross level and the micro level. So, hey, David. And as such, sample error becomes a major issue, especially if you're in an exploration type phase where you're like drilling and you drill a 6-inch hole every 50 feet. So you're only sampling 1/10,000th of the rock to begin with. And then that creates a bunch of uncertainties right there. So here's the actual situation I've run into without giving you actual grades. The ore grade for 2 batches that we did prior to this, the ore was of a particular grade.
The head grade.
The head grade.
Okay.
According to an assay. Now we ground the rock, and every 25 pounds, we'd switch out the buckets, because a lot easier to carry a 25-pound bucket up and dump it into the tank. And then Eva would take a 1-cup scoop out of it and put it in another bucket. And then at the end of the 1,000-pound run, we would take that bucket, split it down to a laboratory sample, send out. It goes to the lab. They further crush it and split it, and then run an assay. So as you can see, we're taking a huge amount of rock, 1,000 pounds, and turning it into a 30-gram sample that's actually assayed.
Yeah, tablespoon.
Inherently, this is not precise. You do it is the yeah, exactly, Rock.
Yeah.
I don't know what kriging is in precise terms, but yeah, it's complicated math to get any kind of reasonable
Assumption.
Confidence levels.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so we know that the laboratory assay of the rock can be kind of off. Interestingly enough, though, because this rock had been mined and then kind of run through the RC46 and then stockpiled and then run through the impact mill, the two samples were within 2 or 3% of each other.
Yeah, good
Okay.
numbers.
And it's from the same stockpile stuff. So it's like, okay, that's interesting. It shows we're getting consistent results. But when you took that amount of rock, which was weighed, but there's, it wasn't weighed to 6 decimal places or whatever. It's weighed on a spring scale. Basically, we have a bucket hanging from a spring scale.
Right.
And sampled and stuff. And we throw that in the tank, and then the solution is determined by volume, which is pretty close approximation of the weight, just pure solution.
Yeah.
And so we got 2 times the amount of solution to rock by weight. Okay. Now, assuming all of the gold in the rock dissolves and distributes 100% into the solution. Now, some's going to remain in the rock, just because the solution that's wetting the rock and a few other things, it's not going to 100% come out. Yeah. Yep. And so anyhow, assuming it all went from the rock into the solution, I was dissolving 110% more gold than was in the rock. Again, as I tried to
coming out at 110%.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get a 10% overrun in the value.
Yeah. Now, as I tried to explain to this Chris guy, this indicates that obviously some of the data is not accurate. Okay, you cannot get 110% of the total.
No.
It just doesn't work that way.
98 maybe, but not 110.
So you have a couple of possibilities. You can have sampling error. Now, in the case of the rock, there's a wide number of reasons for sampling error. In the case of solution, not so much, because it's stirred and agitated and stuff.
Ground and mixed.
I mean, the solution itself should be pretty consistent. If you sample it at any particular point after it's been agitating for hours, shouldn't get too much difference in any particular solution samples. But in the ore itself, you can definitely have a problem. And so my assumption is either it's an analytical issue. The laboratory is wrong. Okay. And the instrumentation can be wrong. The fire assay can miss gold for a variety of reasons. It can wind up not being in the final bead. Yeah. Therefore, it doesn't get weighed. Therefore, it's not assayed.
Right, a process issue.
Yeah. And there's always some loss. You never get 100.0%.
Or you could have a nugget effect in the ore.
See, now this is another possibility.
There could be a piece of coarse gold every so often in that ore that wouldn't show up on your assay sampling enough, but it could show up.
Especially if the assayer crushes it to like 200 mesh and then throws away the rejects.
Could be.
What they're supposed to do, the proper assay technique, is crush it to 100%. Passing 200 mesh, i.e. you crush it down and the rejects are reground until it all goes through the screen. Right. If you don't, then any larger chunks of gold will automatically get screened out and be systematically
taken out of the system,
eliminated from your assaying. So that's also a perfectly reasonable possibility.
Question.
Now, my assumption is that if it's not analytical error, and we've checked these labs a bit, but not routinely and thoroughly, because it costs money to send off every 10th sample as a duplicate to another lab. Mm-hmm. So it's certainly possible it's analytical error that is causing this discrepancy. But I'm thinking that it may be the coarse gold situation, and because it would explain a lot of things. not the least of which some information I can't tell you right now, but let's say the dissolution seemed to continue longer than it should have. Okay. And so if you
That's
have
interesting, Jim.
a bunch of, say, here's your mass of your sample here, and you've got all these little flecks of gold here, and then one good sized chunk, say every kilogram. Well, you're going to take 300 assays before you get that one.
Yep.
And therefore, I say, even if it's not a screening error, you know,
No, it could be
it
just
could very easily be it. So
one piece of gold could really throw you off in
So-
there, or two pieces.
one thing that I'm planning on doing here is taking my tailings and running them over a sluice box when I'm dumping them out of the tank.
Onto the
And could be, David. Doesn't look like it tastes too good right now. But yeah.
it's a cookie.
So
Are you hungry, David?
my assumption is that any particle too big to dissolve is hopefully big enough to get caught in the sluice. It's going to be optimized, of course, for fine rock and fine gold. But we'll see. This is something I can just do cheap. We already have some gold hog mat on hand. We have some miner's moss
Yep.
on hand.
Yep.
Lauren's going to get me some of that corrugated drain pipe.
Yep.
Okay. And just run it through there and see what happens. Then just pan the
Yeah,
things
as long
out.
as you're dumping it onto the pile anyway.
Yeah.
Run it.
Now, if we
Can't hurt.
did find out that there was significant occasional coarse gold in there, then we would need to determine how much of this coarse gold will eventually leach out on the pad, how much won't, how much we can recover in the outgoing sluice, because it's going to tend to catch only the bigger particles, and the leaching is going to get all the small particles. So you're going to have an intermediate sized particle. What that size is, I do not know. And the question is, if that in fact does exist, which we don't know now, it's a hypothesis, will it dissolve in any reasonable time, or is it going to passivate before it dissolves?
That's what I'd worry about, is it passivating on the pile.
If there's a substantial amount of that, then we may have to switch up our system till we crush the rock, sluice it, then put it in the tank,
Well,
which would be a pain in the ass.
Chris just said that. Run it, research, use your chemical as your sluice. Pump it right from the tank through the sluice, dump into the sluice, a cleanup sluice right into the tank.
Yes, I say that is
That's a good idea, actually, and that would not be hard to set up. Short of you're going to have a platform, probably.
well, you're going to have to something to feed the sluice too.
Well, you could feed it with your buckets. It's just like dumping in the
Boom.
tank. Yeah,
25 pounds into a sluice.
set one up there and have it shake itself in.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. You're adding more complexity,
Oh yeah.
which would be highly desirable to avoid. So, say
Well,
right
not
now
if
we're
there's
just.
nuggets or pieces of gold that you can get.
It may be desirable to avoid, but it may be profitable not to. So we shall see.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm going to do, just to see if I can catch any significant size gold.
Well, that would tell you something.
Yeah, that's right, Rock. That's the ideal way to do it. Most mills have $1 million budget too. I don't. So anyhow, so that's what I'm going to be testing to see. Yes, I know, Chris. That's again one more piece of device which has to be run by generator, which has to be maintained, built, purchased, and assembled.
Gas engine or generator.
Yeah, I mean everything. If you say just put okay, that adds complexity, cost, and breakdowns.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, it's going to do that. And so
Not that we disagree in theory.
this is the question: is it worth it or not?
Well, you'll find out doing what you're going to do.
Yeah, I say if
A simple sluice.
with 3 different
and-
collection mechanisms.
Right. At some point, if you start finding gold in that, then there's your answer. It does exist, and then how much?
Yeah, Chris, except my existing pump is sitting in the tank with no plumbing outside the tank. So now you have to, again, as David says, and. No, you don't, but I'm trying to do it for like under 5. Yeah, Rock. I understand what you're saying. I'm on a tight budget here.
And economic.
Not quite shoestring, but
close.
it's a little snug. And speaking of that, my principal is questioning how much return on investment are we getting on all these solution samples and assays and things like that. Because ideally, of course, you just smother yourself in information. You know all kinds of things, but every number you get costs you money and time. Okay? To analyze everything, money and time. So the question is, what's the right balance? And one thing that we came up with last winter that we're working on right now to verify is that spot test for the solution concentration.
Right.
Now, again, first thing, nice thing about solution concentration is sample error is pretty much non-existent. It's you just take a sample of solution.
Is it there?
Yeah. We were attempting to run spot tests on solution samples that we took at the end of shift the day before, let settle overnight, and then did the spot test. The results were indicating, number one, higher than I thought gold values, and the color was not matching the color of the standard. Okay. This indicated to me that there was a substantial possibility that what we're actually seeing in that spot after we evaporate the solution is just sediment. Okay. Just very fine sediment.
Yeah.
So Lauren lent me his centrifuge. And now we're centrifuging samples. Now, the sample that we centrifuged, which was a barren sample, it was out of a barren tank. When we pumped it into the big tank, ready for the next round of ore, Eva took a sample, centrifuged it, did the spot test. It came out below detection limit, which is where it should have been.
Exactly.
And I'm sitting there going, man, we got to take all this time and this. And then today, talking to the boss, I had an inspiration. We got a lot of solution samples sitting at the lab they've already analyzed. They don't throw them away. I've asked them to retain them so I can keep the containers. So I went there today and said, I'd like those back because I got all the numbers sitting right there.
Right.
So I probably got 1 to 2 dozen samples.
There you go.
That I've got, and all we
got to do have numbers for, so
that
you
I
can
have
see
good solid
it.
numbers
you can
for.
see result,
and so we can see what it is. And that's one of the things Eva's going to be doing this week. We should be picking up those samples tomorrow.
Yeah.
They had to kind of dig them out. And that's one of the things she's going to be doing is running a bunch of these samples. And then we'll be comparing it to the standard and see whether or not we have a test that is reasonably accurate.
Right.
You know, it's not going to have high precision.
It doesn't need to.
But it'll tell you whether
change the filters,
kind of the ballpark,
pull the resin,
the resin, this sort of thing. So that'll give us good information at literally pennies a test. That indicator solution was $50 a pint. We use 1 drop per test.
Right.
I don't know what that comes out to, but it's pretty cheap.
Expiration date.
Yep. And it takes what, a little less than an hour to run the test?
If we use a blow dryer.
Airflow.
Yeah, just airflow to dry it. Right. Exactly. So we're going to be testing that this week, see how well that works. If it works well, then that'll help cut our costs dramatically there too. I still will be needing to do some correlation between, okay, we got 1,000 pounds of this grade ore supposedly in the tank, and what the hell was the solution grade? Right. You know, we still need several more of those to convince ourselves as to what's actually to expect. Because if we're getting more gold than the fire assay shows on a consistent basis, and our resin assays confirm that, or secondary solution assays, I forget what it is. There's a lab in Billings that Montana Tech lady there that runs there. Montana Tech has all the equipment to do this, but they don't do it for private people. Go figure, huh?
Okay.
So anyhow,
That our tax money hard at work?
something like that.
They should
Well,
do it
can't
for
even pay 'em
everybody
to do
who's
it.
Willing to pay.
Yeah.
Can't even pay them to do it.
Yeah.
sounds like everything else.
So anyhow, so that's kind of where we're at. Eva has now processed the last of the resin from last year, and we've given the gold to the boss.
Good.
And hey, Tricky.
Hey, Tricky.
Hi, Tricky.
The last, let me get my little calculator out here, little one. I had a calculator somewhere.
I don't know. I don't see it.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay. So
Organization.
how much did you actually get the final bead on that last test there?
I believe the final bead was a 0.891
0.891.
or something close to it because the parting degrees was 0.901.
Okay. And it was 13 and how much grams?
13.64, I believe, if you want to get exact.
Okay, so that's a 0.65 grams per 10 grams oven dried equivalent, which is about as good as we've ever gotten from that. Okay, so I presume that's pretty good to 100% recovery using the techniques we're using, although Eva is now also going through our old crucibles and our old, yeah, right, Tom, who cares? And old slag to see how much you can recover there. Of course, some of these we were losing using that as a standard 1 or 2/10 of a gram per test.
Yeah.
The thumbnail that you saw to start this thing was actually from inside a crucible when we ran it over at Lawrence. And when Eva took similar looking crucibles over here and reprocessed them, she got some good recoveries.
Good.
Like, what was it?
Good.
It was like 0.2 grams recovered and one bead off in the distance somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Shoot them across the room.
My total was almost 0.6 grams, not including the one that you threw away.
I didn't throw away. I blew away.
You cast away.
Cast away. I'm sorry. I think that was physics that cast it away.
Yeah.
But anyhow, you demand tacos and women. Jeez. Okay, when it comes to the tacos,
I thought it was Mexican.
Can't help you there.
Sun god, Tom.
when it comes to the women, look in the mirror.
Good luck.
But anyhow, so that's what we're doing. I say didn't get much done this week due to health issues and rain, and they had a party out there one day. There was a birthday party, didn't want generators running, so you can't work that day.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, I tell you what, it was just one of those weeks. It was raining that day anyhow, so
Yeah,
what the
there's
hell?
been a lot of that lately.
Oh, yeah. So it's good for the range.
All in good fun.
Yeah. And so that's what we're working on right now. And how's things going with you?
Well, I did get the placer mining lease overview done, guys. So we'll get that up on Keith's website. And I'm going to go over a little of that here tonight. Also, a couple of other issues to kind of go along with it. But yeah, it did get done. So there will be copies available if you guys want them on Keith's website when we get it up there.
When we figure out how to get it uploaded.
Yeah.
Make
kinda-
sure that it lands in your email there, and I will
Figure out how to get it from there.
Yes.
It is in a PDF file, so you'll have to print it out, but it'll give you a good overview whether you're leasing a property for yourself or leasing it out as a lease or whatever. Kind of give you a general overview of what you should be kind of looking at and protect yourself and the miner or protect the landowner either way.
You have a practical obligation to protect yourself. You have a moral obligation to protect everybody.
No, it's all for the betterment of both parties. It's a guideline, and you can use what you want of it or change it how you want and have a lawyer redraw it if you want. That's all up to you.
Lease info. I don't see it here.
Huh.
Yep. I don't recall getting it.
That's it'd be the next one. So there
That
must
should-
be another
That should be
one.
sitting up there, and it's not.
All right.
You
Checking
did
your,
send me
checking your spam.
this one.
Nope, that's a different thing.
I can go to junk. Yeah. Nope, not there.
All right. Well, I'll
Yeah.
re.
So you'll need to resend it.
Yeah, I'll do it separate.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
so you guys can get a look at that and use what works with your situation and just gives you an overview.
he's not responsible
No,
for
I am not.
anything. This is just a guideline. It's not legal
Yeah.
advice.
Yep, it isn't.
It may vary in your state, so you'll need to have a competent legal expert review it, because say it's your responsibility.
It's fairly thorough, guys, and there is a good breakdown of like gross royalty situations or reserve royalty situations. Could apply to hard rock just as much as to a placer for majority of the lease. It would
Yeah.
be really, really similar.
Yeah. Same
And then, like
principles.
as in any lease, negotiation is everything, and deciding what you personally would want in the lease or what the landowner decides he wants in the lease.
a little
mineral
blackmail
holder.
can come in handy at times.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody kind of has one little quirk that they worry about.
That's true. Whenever you're negotiating or dealing with someone,
Yeah, there's
you want to try and
pacify
keep your
both.
mind open to
Yeah.
what it is that he's
What's
fascinates
important,
that person.
right? What's
Yeah.
important to that person that would make them comfortable with what's going on.
and also to get them interested. And
You know,
now here's
you- if it means designing a pond that he wants there when you're done, or something that the landowner would benefit the landowner, or wants it all level and nice and seated back so it's a hayfield. You want to always make those accommodations in your lease, basically, that it's just a safety.
but also it gives him a reason to get in it besides just the royalty.
Right.
The other thing that I learned a long time ago was when you're dealing with an organization, especially if it's one guy, it's one guy. Although sometimes his wife is important in this or whatever.
Yep.
But as this guy was saying, what you want is an advocate. Find the person that gets excited about it and will push your project to the organization, whatever it is. We're not talking inflatable.
Good one, Tricky.
Oh, I thought that was Tom.
No, that's Tricky. Got his comment
Taco,
in there.
Hey, Tricky, do they have anything equivalent to a tortilla in
The Philippines?
the Philippines?
Well, I
They're not
suppose.
that hard to make. Flour tortillas are pretty easy. Now, the corn tortillas require masa,
Yeah.
and masa is kind of a dried cornmeal that's been treated with lye.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something you can just
Yeah.
make easily, although I presume it's not terribly difficult. But flour tortillas are easy. I can actually make a passable flour tortilla. Roundness, thickness, things like that, a little sketchy, but in terms of taste, it'll be okay. No problem.
Gosh.
But anyhow, no, don't forget to say hi to the kids, Tricky. Anyhow, so back to him.
Well, back on the lease, I thought I'd bring up a few points that you need to think about when you're looking at a property, or even whether it's for your own claim or whatever, but verify access. Make sure you have a legal access to the property. Because there can always be conditions, whether you're dealing with BLM or Forest Service or driving through a private ranch on the road to get to BLM or Forest Service. Is it a legal access? Because if you do find a good mine and somebody shuts your access down because they don't want you there, you have a problem. So that is the first thing, is make sure you have legal access or negotiate for a legal access to the area that you're, prospecting or hunting in. The next thing is go to the courthouse and check the land deed as far as mineral rights. Who really owns the mineral rights? Just because there's a landowner on the land maybe doesn't mean he owns the mineral rights.
Now you get that at the county recorder's
Office, yep, will show who owns the mineral rights.
Okay,
So they'll do a title search basically on it and find out if it's in the mineral books and who owns it.
Okay, how much does that usually cost?
Sometimes they'll do it for free if it's a matter of throwing a book open and looking and go, hey, it's recorded right here. Here's the mineral rights. 50% is some grandchild somewhere, or maybe part of it was given to the church. Or, I've seen some crazy stuff. But you want to verify, especially if you're going to lease, you want to verify who the hell owns the mineral rights.
Now, another question is, I generally like to go in person.
I do too.
Talk to people.
I do too, because I can usually get the information right there a lot of times also.
Yeah, because if you're doing it by phone, it's like, we'll get back to you. It's a lot easier than you're standing there.
3 weeks later.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're lucky, they remember to call you back.
Yeah.
The next one is water rights. Is there a water right that would be needed for what you're doing? Does one exist with the mineral rights? Is there, is it any availability of getting a water right if there isn't one? And that you'd probably have to go to the water board in your state or county to find out if it isn't already on the mineral deed or something.
Is it usually difficult to
a lot of times
get water from a local source there?
Not necessarily. And if you're only doing high banking or something, you may be able to dig a hole and you have water. So that it really isn't an issue at that point unless somebody wants to make it one.
Mm-hmm.
Montana kind of leaves you alone at that level, but when you put a wash plant in there, then they want to know, all right, whose water are you using?
Well, if you say dug a hole near a stream,
and
process your stuff and dumping everything back onto the gravels there.
Yep.
So it's going back underground.
Probably
you're not using any water legally.
Theoretically, you're not. You're putting it right back. But
okay.
There's guys who would argue that point with you just because I own the water rights and I don't want you touching the water.
Mm-hmm.
And Montana is like
do you
a lot
own
of
the groundwater rights?
Just like a lot of Western states, you can take their wife, but don't touch their water.
Yeah.
Make sure it's a legal area for mining. With what's been happening politically and things, just verify that it's open for mineral development or there's no issues due to some conservation easement or something that took away the mineral right. So you definitely want to verify that. If you're going to go on and rent or lease a property, another thing that I kind of thought of was, has there been a mineral legal survey? And if you're in the middle of the property, it might not matter so much, but if you're edging or bordering another property, you want to know where that line is, or you're going to be in a world of problems if you cross it.
Now, any disturbance across the line is an issue, right?
Yep. Okay. It's claim jumping, and legally, that's stealing somebody's mineral.
Well, if you just disturb the surface, you drove a track around it,
you can't do that.
Okay.
You have to stay within your confinement unless there's an agreement. So basically my suggestion is you find a certified mineral surveyor, which some of the land survey, like here, we've got a number of them, but you find a certified mineral surveyor and have him stake that line if you're up against somebody else's claim or something, so you know where that line is.
Now, if you were going to do something next to somebody else's claim, would it generally be a good idea to notify the other person?
It doesn't hurt, because you're better off to deal with them on the front end than deal with an issue.
Yeah.
Because then they're already pissed off then, or why are you see, in Montana, you can cross one claim to get to another claim, But the minute you start disturbing stuff, now you've created a liability issue.
Well, I mean, is the track of a quad a disturbance?
Probably not. You're
Yeah.
just crossing.
Yeah.
But if you start moving dirt and you're making a pile and you get over the line with the pile or something, you've created what could be considered an issue.
See, to me, it would just, feel better to me if you came up and say, hey, look, we're getting ready to start doing some business on my claims here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have a mineral surveyor come in.
We've identified the line. Is there any issue?
Well, and you could even say, if you want to be here when he's surveying it,
Yep.
You're welcome to observe.
Yep.
And, we're going to put the line in. And if you have any disagreement about that, please let me know immediately so we can resolve it before we start doing anything. And I think I would be much more likely to give you slack.
Right. No, you're better off to confront somebody on good notes versus create an issue, and now you have a point of contention.
Certainly tricky.
Is the claim permittable? That's the next one. You could go buy a claim or lease a claim from somebody else, but is it permittable? Do you think you'd be able to get a permit on it is a question. Are there kind of limitations as far as, protected species of maybe a fish in the creek? Those are all questions you always want to have in your mind, that what are the limitations of this property, and would it be permittable if I lease it from this guy to go in and, do some exploration work? Can I get the permit or be able to do the exploration? Another thing to keep in mind is a potential mill site. If you need more room than what the claim allows you in a tight canyon or something, is there another place that you can have a mill site or a production area off of the claim?
Yeah, like an equipment yard or something.
Yeah, lay down yard for equipment, a campsite. Where would you, if you're going to be up here working on this claim, if there's not enough room in the drainage itself, that's going to have to be remotely located somewhere else. Where can you do that? So there's always questions and things that you need to be thinking about before you just jump the gun and say, I'm going to lease this claim and get in here. So that's kind of on top of basically looking at the lease overview and going through those notes, guys. And we'll get that up on Hard Rock University, Keith Bowen Wix site. Gold mining resources. Yeah. So the next couple days we'll get it figured out, get it up on the website.
Yeah, I'll try and get that maybe in the
and then if somebody does want
preliminary stuff,
a hard copy, let me know, and I could mail some copies. I did make a bunch extras, and I can always print some more.
If anyone doesn't have any questions on that right away, I've also got another little subject. We were loading some resin and not sure exactly what's going on, but we did notice it's only partially loaded, but some of the beads are looking fairly dark and other beads, nothing. So visually, what appears to be happening is some of the beads are loading, some of the beads are not. Don't know if that's the truth at this point. The solution assays indicated that we were getting, recovery out of solution. And we were at either 0.25 or 2.5% loading at the point, where we took this particular sample of the resin. Now, the interesting thing was, it seemed to me that the smaller beads were the ones that were getting colored, and the larger beads in general were not. So the plan is, again, sometime in the next week or so,
pick some out.
Test them. I'm going to try screening. If we can find a screen that's the right size, we should be able to split that somewhere where we're getting most of the big beads on one side and the small beads on the other. And we shall see. I was using Was that the 60 mesh screen? I think it was that they're on
Yeah.
right now. Yeah, because I checked it some other time. It seemed like everything was above 50 mesh. So they were sitting on a 60 mesh screen. So I think possibly somewhere around 30 mesh may give us a good size split there. And so that's mine Wasika. No, is that a website?
I don't know.
Cool, Billy. So I say we're going to try and kind of investigate that observation further and see what's going on. Perhaps the smaller beads are more aggressive for something. Maybe
right,
they
there may be
cool
a
faster
reason.
or
Right,
something.
there may be a reason they're in there, being that's a water treatment resin or something. There may be a reason.
I suspect that the reason there's a variety of sizes is simply because it's not a precise manufacturing
Probably wouldn't
technique.
pile so much either if you got a little variation.
I have no idea. Yeah, I agree, Chris. But again, principle. If you see something you don't expect, look at it
Test it
and see what's going on. If you can't figure it out, it may be something you need to know more about.
I would agree with you there, Chris. The surface area to volume, maybe it's mixed for a reason that it won't mat or pack or do.
Well,
there may be a reason that there's different.
It appears quite substantial, as in virtually no coloration at all in the large beads in the field of view, and you have these small beads that are half the diameter, something like that.
If I might
that
point
are
out
dark.
there,
Maybe if you can isolate what those are, you can get just that kind of
If
resin.
I might point out there,
Yes.
you are being mildly inaccurate here. I have determined there are 5 sizes of beads. The smallest size of beads at the moment shows next to nothing. The second smallest size of beads shows iridescent gold. The third smallest size of beads shows a very pale orange. The second smallest size of bead shows red.
Say,
Okay?
um,
And we had 2 different shades of red.
what she says. Anyhow, I'll see about screening it and seeing if we can find something that's a consistent pattern. But it's looking also, as I recall, when we were trying to ash the resin beads, the ones that came up looking like little gold balls were generally the small ones. Okay.
Okay.
So I do not know.
Well,
I understand exactly what you're saying, Chris. And because they would have 4 times the surface area, they would have like 4 times the color density if everything else was equal. But this is like 50 or 100 times the color density. As in,
and it's different colors.
different product.
the larger beads are just nice white beads, and the other ones are getting a fairly decent red, about like the color of David Villa's D up there,
or whatever.
Yeah. Or where it says end stream, about that kind of color density, fairly substantial. So I say it's an unusual observation that we did not see in the first batch of resin, and I don't recall seeing it in some of the other stuff we're doing. This is what?
I did indeed see 5 different shades of beads in our original stage 1 resin from last year.
So she says. I didn't see anything white in there.
No, I remember looking at
we
one of
had
them.
no
I thought
white,
it was
but
pretty
we had
thorough.
5 different shades of red.
Says her. I don't have as good eyes. She may be right. I don't know. We'll investigate.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so it's just an interesting observation at this point in time. And we'll do some investigation and see, because if the smaller beads are in fact, and not just from surface area, but for some other physical reason, better at picking up the gold than the larger beads, you might be able to get a much higher loading factor. Do not know. We'll also be working on the electrolytic cell for the resin stripping experiments. And Chris, I tried just a quick simple thing. I made 2 arrays of carbon rod electrodes. where the only thing below the surface of the liquid is the carbon rods, running about 3 volts. And I took the used parting nitric acid that was so concentrated in silver nitrate that crystals were forming. And so we diluted a little bit and just poured that in there because we had it. And we, the typical thing you do is keep reacting, keep dissolving silver until it'll no longer dissolve silver. And that's pretty much got rid of your nitric acid. This is not that case, so it may still have a lot of nitric in it. But anyhow, when I started, when I put the juice to it, immediately the anode rods started sending out a black liquid looking material, and the cathode rods pretty quickly started getting coated with what appeared to be silver. I mean, it was a white, shiny sort of stuff. When I took them out of the electrolyte, the silver seemed to disappear pretty quickly when they were sitting there. My guess is there's nitric acid in the rods, and it's just redissolving the silver. But anyhow, my thought was, first of all, I can always just cement the gold out of that solution by putting copper in there.
Cement the silver, you mean?
Yeah, cement the silver. Yeah, and the by the copper itself will neutralize the nitric acid eventually by just dissolving. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking I was making on the cathode. I'm not sure what the anode thing was, because I mean it's like a black liquid flowing off the anodes. It's like, what the hell is that? I thought it was carbon. Just use a stainless bowl. Well, it's a very small quantity. I could use stainless rods or something like that, but I also want to use it for the that's what I figured. It was graphite. I don't know why it's coming apart. But the idea is also use essentially the same cell for stripping the resin. And in this case, my plan was a plastic container with a fabric liner and putting the resin in that, putting the anodes in the resin, and then mechanically circulating the solution through the resin beads to the cathode, or past the cathode to the pump and then back again.
Okay.
And then trying salt. Because when we use salt and potassium chloride before, we got like 10 to 20% stripping of the gold with no electrolytic at all.
Okay.
To
answer your question there, Rick, no. As far as the Waseca mine at Rochester, Montana, never been there.
Okay. I was using 3 volts. I was getting quite a few amps. The reason I used 3 volts was because that's what Street Tips did. He was using like 3.4 volts. I started at 3.4, and even with just little carbon rods about this big, about that deep into solution, I was pulling about 1.5 to 2 amps. So I may be able to back off on the voltage a bit. But I say it was just an experiment. It was raining. We couldn't get any ore running.
Couldn't do anything else.
Just annoying as hell. It's like, well, I'll get these electrodes made up. And then, once I have the electrode arrays made up, it's like, well, let's just see what happens. It's like, doesn't look like it's working too well, but what the hell?
Can't blow anything up.
Right? Yeah, interesting data.
Well, I want to buy a stainless steel bowl at the thrift shop so I can try what Street Tips does.
Well, okay, fine. Get a couple of pounds of silver in the solution, and you can use a big bowl, and it'll work just fine. When you've got a couple of grams of silver,
too thin.
No more than 1.06 volts. Got it, Tricky. Okay. So we want to go to 1 volt and see what happens. I figured I was probably overvolting it, but again, it was more like just, hey, does this thing work at all?
He was bored.
Well, again, it was raining.
Yep. Nothing else to do.
And it's like, okay, let's see what we can accomplish here. Okay, I'll make the arrays. To make the carbon rod arrays, what I did was I took some 1/2-inch copper tubing, longer than I need. It's in a glass loaf pan, basically, little glass loaf pan.
Okay.
So it's about 4 inches wide. So I made the tube 6 inches long, cut slots in them so they sit there on the loaf pan and not rock around or move.
Yeah.
I drilled vertical holes, 5/16 vertical holes for the carbon rods to slide through.
Right.
And I cross drilled and tapped 1/4-20
Lock
and
screws.
little brass screws. And so then I just screw them into lock it. Since none of that goes into the solution,
Right.
shouldn't be a problem. And then just hook the alligator clips up to the copper tube,
Good to go.
you know. Right now it's silver, Tricky. Yeah, I understand, but I want a bowl where, or a thing where I can hopefully do 100 or 200 grams of resin at a whack. That's the basic idea, and we'll see. And yes, we have titanium grids that we could use for the cathodes, but then we'd have to plate back off of the cathodes onto another thing. I'd like to try
Direct.
go to, say, a gold foil, like go to the arts and crafts store and get some gold leaf,
Yeah.
and then just leave it on the damn plastic and just clip the wire clip to that, you know,
Sure.
and just put that plastic sheet in there and then just thicken the gold on it.
Right.
That was my thought.
Plate it on.
Plate it on. Then when you're done, you can
Yep.
just peel it right off the plastic sheet.
Yep.
You know?
That would make it way fun.
Yeah. So we shall see.
Yeah. It never ends in this business, David. and
No, exactly.
and some more equipment.
Especially when you're
And-
dealing with a new system. Okay.
2.3 for silver.
2.3 for silver. Okay.
All right. Well, so you weren't way off.
Not hugely, but that's, I mean, one
Yeah.
volt's a lot
Oh,
at
yeah,
these ranges.
Yeah.
And 1.06 for gold. Okay, Tricky. So
Did you write that down there?
no.
It's right there.
First of all, it's right there, but secondly of all, it's
Go back to it.
once I put it in. I mean, I was pretty sure I was overvolting when I'm running with that little bit of electrode area and I'm pulling 1.8 amps. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm overvolting this.
Oh, that's good.
So I wasn't terribly worried. Screenshot.
Yeah.
For anodes or cathodes, Chris? Hello, Jeff. How's it going?
Hey, Jeff.
What anodes will hold up? Stainless? Will that handle it okay? See, the nice thing about using the rod holder, I can put whatever I want.
Right.
In. Yeah.
Drop in whatever you want. Find
Yeah.
the right sizes.
Sorry, Robert. All the damage is internal right now.
I told him we needed one Monday night where you haven't been to the ER yet.
Let's see. Where's my red marker? You know?
Yeah, we can draw some on.
You guys want to see the picture of the sink? Eva's got it on her phone. It was ugly.
Yeah.
If you guys want to see it,
Get through
I
one,
can provide
one
it.
week without an emergency room visit.
yeah, 5. I mean, I've got, I think Argonaut wants to see it, little one.
Really?
Popcorn.
Looks like it.
Good luck if you can share it on my phone, but I will pull it up for you.
Okay. Now, what we're going to do is I'll give everyone a little warning so that anyone who doesn't want to look at the gory picture can look away. And then I'll let you know when the gory picture is no longer there. Okay.
Give me a minute. I'm pulling it up on my phone right now.
You have no idea, Tom. Do you remember Linda? She said one time that she could make me look like a woman. I go, yeah, give it a shot. Did not work. Okay, wait, little one, could you please? I said I will give them warning. Okay, give me your
Warning.
cell phone. Now, I'm going to show you the picture of the sink from when my nose decided to go. Okay. What are you doing, little one?
Nothing.
Okay, go to the email. Go to Hard Rock U. So anyhow, get ready. I'm going to show the picture here. 1, 2, 3. There's the sink. Okay. Okay, the picture is now no longer in view if you want to look back. Yeah, it was less than ideal.
Hard Rock U?
Yeah, there's Tricky.
Modern art.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Hello. Although I presume it's a little unclear in the photograph. Those little yellow spots are those gold? Is that what we're seeing? And what's the magnification, Tricky? That one doesn't show up much at all.
This might be hard to put on this.
I think this
screen.
one barely visible in the middle there. We can give it a try.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're good pictures, Tricky. It just, I don't know if Keith can get them across camera to camera here.
Well, and then depth of field is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, David. Did you hit a deer? No. 100x. Yeah, that's why you got such a shallow depth of field. Let's see if I can
Do this.
make this happen here.
I don't know. Maybe. Down, right?
So in the center there in that field, you can see some like yellow spots. According to Tricky, that's 100 power magnification of carbon. That's adsorbed gold from a different solution. This is not the, what is it, Jinchan solution, is it, Tricky? Oh, where does this one go? There we go.
Yeah, Rick, we're in Helena, Montana. I've been to a lot of mines, and that isn't one of them, though, that I've been to. And hello to dump truck guys.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, where's the bonanza ore? That way.
Yeah, over there somewhere.
Not sure the distance or the depth, but it's that way. Hey, dump truck, where are you from? Do they sell hell of a good cheese there in Helena? I don't know. You ever seen that little one?
I haven't seen all our cheeses, but if they do, it's probably at that bougie store.
Yeah, don't recall seeing it. But we don't do a lot of shopping at the
saturated
specialist stores. And east is up. East is that way from here.
East is up.
Yeah. Partially saturated salt with ozone. Okay. Yeah, that might work well with. Is that a stripping solution or a digestion solution for ore, Tricky? That's my question. I forgot. I know you were telling us last week, but I forgot. I'm a geezer. I'm allowed to do that.
Yeah, forget.
Yeah, I could be president.
Can't quite remember. President.
You're welcome, Dump. Yeah, it's I mean, there's only 26 people. This is a fairly good turnout.
Yeah, no, this is just a great size for everybody commenting.
What do you think, Chris? Would a similar solution work well as a stripping solution, possibly? Partially saturated salt with ozone. He's using an ozone generator for a what do you call it? Hot tub.
Oh.
Yeah,
Water purification?
Kind of, yeah, because that's true, Jeff. Yeah, my friend Linda once said, if you ran for office, I'd have to vote against you because I hate to see a good man go bad.
Billy, just don't give out specifics.
I agree, Phil. I would at least be trying.
And when they ask you what you're doing, tell them you do reclamation work.
See, I might be able to get an ozone generator used over there at the hot tub place.
Probably.
They've always got old hot tubs
Yeah,
where they're getting ready to throw them
probably.
away and stuff. So I could probably get one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Phil, we might all honestly prefer that.
Okay. Hey, Chris, if you could tell me what solution strength of what do I want in the perchloric acid cell? Can you give me basically a trial type solution formula for that? Because I may actually be getting to that here real shortly.
For oxygenation. All right.
Oh. So yeah, that's what I'm wondering, because I've already got, it was 2.6 volts for the silver, and gold was 1.06. Okay, so I've got an electrolytic cell and I need an electrolyte. What's the formula that you would first use for the electrolyte itself to try and strip resin? And should I do that basically in like a stainless steel container as the anode, or plastic with a fabric liner and use salt and add oxygen? Bubbler? Would that be good? And how much salt? Again, saturated, 1%, 10%, Same process that makes bleach electrochemically. He's not being cooperative today. He's being mean to me.
Chris, you're over his head.
Yeah, just, if I was going to make biscuits, it's like, yeah, you put some flour in it. No, could you just tell me how much
the recipe,
flour?
right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea.
Professor Hard Rock has never made bleach electrolytically.
Absolutely. Haven't the faintest. So that's what I say. I can play once I have a starting point. Formula for the leach is 20% saturated salt solution. By that you mean 20% of a saturated salt solution and 80% plain water, plus 10 grams calcium chlorate plus ozone. Yeah, I don't have any calcium chlorate.
For 30 minutes.
Plus calcium OCl2. Now you'll notice something, Jim. What is difficult about Tricky Dicky's solution there? How, in terms of mixing that up?
Well, first you got to figure out what 20% of the solution is.
How much am I making? Take 20% this plus 10 grams of calcium chloride to make how much? Okay.
Yeah.
What's the total amount of water I throw in with that, Tricky? Calcium hypochlorite.
Well, you'll get the answer in a minute.
Maybe someday Chris will be nice to me and just give me a formula. Anyhow, bleach tabs, yeah.
Bleach tabs would work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one atom of calcium and 2 hypochlorite. Hypochlorite? Okay. Ions, so you have 1 calcium, 2 hypochlorite. Yep. So anyhow, so I'll give it a shot.
If you don't mind my asking a stupid chemistry question,
Sure.
couldn't we take some of our liquid bleach and put it in water with salt and work from there?
Possibly. We can always try stuff.
Yeah.
As long as you got good
Just,
ventilation and a
well,
fire extinguisher.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Rick, are you in Montana here also?
So far, we haven't blown anything up.
Okay.
1 liter of water, saturated.
380 grams NaCl per liter. 20% plus 1 liter water. So that'd be 200 mils. Yeah. Yeah, and high school's probably been a long way to go for most of us.
Yeah, it's a little ways away.
Yeah.
At this point, it's a faint memory.
Yeah. So anyhow, we'll try some stuff.
You'll be trying that stuff while I'm doing my stuff.
Do you have a great deal of arsenic in your water? The white shiny might be arsenic. Shouldn't be much in the parting solution. I don't think the arsenic will report to the bead. You know, just the precious metals. And so we're parting basically silver from gold.
Huh.
Bleach and a couple inert electrodes will do it the easy way. Okay, Lauren, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Lauren.
What concentration bleach? I presume there's some dilution involved, Chris.
Household?
Yeah, but there's like
full strength would be probably way too much.
Yeah, as a percentage.
This is not tool time. We have to have more bleach.
Yeah,
you know,
more power.
More power. Yeah. So just go with straight household bleach. Is that what you're saying, Chris?
Well, straight household bleach is already diluted. It's like a 2% solution.
I thought it was like 11 or something. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know.
Nah. Household bleach is like 2%.
Yeah.
Huh.
Take care, Chris.
Dinner.
Oh,
Any other questions, guys?
we'll get it figured out, and then we'll tell you what the answer is. It may take a while.
Isn't this fun?
Meanwhile, I'm going to
When it works.
Stuff.
You're going to do cool stuff?
Yeah.
Eva's having a great time.
I'm semi-considering trying to smelt some of that mystery stuff that I created by accident.
Oh, boy.
I'd put that away for now. How are babies made?
Jeez, Tom. They were hard
Didn't we
questions.
have this talk a while back? Oh, goodness.
Now we need a biologist.
We went to see Top Gun Maverick.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, the cinematography is great.
And they
So,
stole the whole end scene from Star Wars. It was hilarious. And they made it work, which was even more hilarious.
well, and the thing is, there's very little CG in this.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
It's all just live planes. I mean, I don't know how much money they spent on those planes. I presume they're actually naval aircraft.
Probably.
You know, I don't think they've got F-18s on the used market right now. But yeah.
You mean we didn't leave a bunch of them in Afghanistan?
That may be what happened. But yeah, it was very well done. As everyone has mentioned, no woke crap in it at all. Good writing. There were a couple scenes that I thought were both, good writing and good acting. Nothing over the top, but just the right amount of emotion and subtlety there. I was very pleased with it. Okay. So we'll try some bleach and see what happens.
Might be,
there's-
Roberts.
I'm not sure
Yeah, were they filming it in Ukraine?
because they had what is that new Russian 5th generation fighter? I think they had a couple of those in it.
Su-35.
No, those weren't Su-35s. The ones with the tilted outward.
Wingtips.
The Su-35s are the ones with the verticals and they kind of come out over the air intake. I think they're cool. The Sukhois are sweet. If I win the lottery, I'm going to get her a ride in one, if possible, because they'll go up over 50,000 feet.
I'm good.
And yeah, Eva would just be thrilled to death.
Yeah, especially if they did aerobatics.
Oh, they do that on the way back. It said so. Of course, you probably can't do it right now because it's in Russia, you know. They had the HD theater was, I think, I know I had it written down here. It's probably in the trash can now. It was like for the matinee, like $8 for the standard, and
It was $7.50 for the standard, $10 for the high def.
for the matinee, and then add another $2 or $3 for
$12.50
after 4 o'clock or
Yeah,
something
in
like
the
that.
evening, it's
Yeah.
$12.50 or
And
something.
he got a senior discount. He got a quarter off.
Oh boy.
Man, don't spend it all in one place. Oh, wait a minute. We bought popcorn. We did. Yeah. So between the both of us tickets for the matinee and for one, you got a large soda, little one?
One large soda, one water, one popcorn. The whole thing came to just under $32.
Yeah.
We're around $30. Not bad.
Affordable
Not
night
bad.
out.
Yeah.
Affordable afternoon out.
No, not considering most places would be a lot more than that. California would probably be $60. Hard to tell. But anyhow, yeah, it was reasonable. Not a big deal. I mean, last time we went to Subway, it was what, 18?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it
Oh
was
yeah.
bloody ridiculous.
Everything's getting crazy.
Yeah. I didn't think about it, Roberts. I actually had a case of them in the back of the truck. You know,
Yeah, a couple of
we once had a woman. We were selling popcorn at the Foothills Mall in Tucson years ago, and this was like the first year we were selling there. And this woman comes up and says, can you take a medium bag and split it into two bags?" And yeah, sure. She says, now make sure they're even so I don't look lopsided. Because she was going to take it.
smuggling popcorn. Oh boy,
into the theater. And
Lots of people did
then
that.
for a long time, the theater said, fine, you know, they can bring the kettle corn in because, you know, we were paying rent too. But anyhow,
I guess here was at what, $4.55?
no.
445 to 451, depending
Yeah,
on where you go.
we're not doing too bad for fuel prices
The
here
high
yet.
price is 451 at the holidays and at the Safeway, and down toward the hospital. 445 is just about everywhere else.
Hello, Boomer.
That link's not working there, Chris. Oh,
508 up in Michigan. Ouch.
Hmm. Yeah, Ricky. I don't think that's the situation we were in, but we'll see. Eva also wants to crush up a bunch of old Cupels with the RC46. It's like, yeah, that'll work. Just make sure we wear a good respirator.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just
Yep.
thinking
Yeah,
it
it
would
might
be much
explain your
faster.
nosebleed.
Oh, it'd be loads faster, little one. Actually, the other day when I had the balloon up my nose and I was wearing a respirator, it fit okay. I wasn't wearing I was just wearing a dust mask, the paper one, but it was fine. And so,
Well, it'll save me a lot of work with the Mad Max.
Yeah. I say I got a lot more important things as far as I'm concerned at this point than going through old Cupels. But what the heck?
If
No,
I
I
can
think
figure
it's
out how to
great
do
that
it, we'll
she's-
recover a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's great she's doing that.
Yeah, it's fine with me as long as there's nothing more urgent that she's putting away. She's doing a great job of.
Well,
Would you say I haven't been riding too hard on you there, little one?
No, you haven't, because I'm usually thinking about 6 steps ahead of you anyway. So.
What's new?
Besides, you're doing the important stuff, and at the moment, I can't possibly get behind on other crap because we don't have enough fully loaded resin for me to do anything.
Yep,
Well,
we're working on it, but
Yeah. That'll be next.
it's annoyingly slow. Anyhow, yeah, getting that solution stuff working, that's going to be important, little one. So hopefully we'll have the samples to do all that tomorrow, and we'll have some good results. That should be a decent little video. Hopefully we'll get good results. Okay,
And
let's see.
hopefully we can figure out how to split the buttons using electrolysis.
Okay, making potassium chlorate. Okay, it came through, Chris. Let's see.
Speaking of potassium, can I make potassium carbonate?
Have no idea.
Look it up. Probably.
Well, as it is, you can't buy bone ash anywhere. So if I want to make Cupels, I have to ash my own bones. It's going to be ridiculous.
I'm sure they do, little one. Among other things, Bet Your Pioneer has it. Okay, Chris, thank you. Let's see. Let's go to Pioneer just for a second here and see if we can find bone ash. She keeps wanting to make her own stuff, and it's like, yeah, that takes time.
Well, that's because those cheapo depot Chinese freaking Cupels are trash.
Where is refractory bricks and tiles? No. Let's see. There we go. Roasting dishes and scorifiers. We have search. Bone ash. Boneash. Bone ash Cupels.
There you go.
There we go. No luminized hood. Bone ash furnace bedding, 55 pounds, 20 mesh, $133.98.
Okay,
There you go.
then I'll make my own bones.
325 mesh, $141.
Yeah, well, I need 4 different meshes to make Cupels.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Legend, I think is what it was, correct.
Yeah, he found it.
Yeah.
Oh, Richard.
Man, Richard is nothing is more exciting than hand pulverizing rock, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I understand, Tricky, if you got the right press and everything and you got bone ash, she wants to make the bone ash first. Doesn't have the press either. They probably can have one also, but I don't know.
Lauren could build you that, probably.
I'm sure we could find one around here from the
I'm sure we could find some, we could use some, make it, but wow.
Hey, Goldstream, we have some mines like that around here.
Yeah, pretty much, Jeff. Actually, finding a dead deer carcass in the woods would be a lot harder than finding it on the road. They're pretty common on the road here.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I had to slow down for the deer right there.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
if you talk to the highway department, you could probably have all of them you want.
Well,
Then you got to ash them, though.
they have a roadkill permit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can just call that in.
Well, you see, you got this wrong. According
Sure,
to
Tricky.
Agricola, you need to use deer horn. You use sheep bones.
Because, of course, everyone goes by Agricola circa, what, 8,500 or something?
Well, some of us. You watch. I'm going to get it.
Yeah. Well,
As long as I don't
sounds
get
like
it.
a lot of work.
Ah, yeah, exactly.
I like the
Hey,
idea of
if
just
I can
buying
produce
cases of
good
good.
Cupels, then I will be happy.
Yeah, if you spend 10 times the effort and 3 times the price and come up with a Cupel that's only as good as these, you won't be happy. Guess who pays
When
the
you
price?
can buy a bone ash Cupel.
Yeah, I've got a case of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the ones you got are trash. They don't ring. They thump.
Well,
Trash.
They've
You know.
got other ones. Try.
Some people would call our truck trash, little one. Risky. Just because it's not the best there is, doesn't mean it won't do the job.
I'm sure real assayers have decent Cupels.
No.
These may be decent. They may not be the top quality. Whatever works, Chris.
That's why he's got a camper.
That's right. And I know how to use it. But yeah. So, as I say, that's kind of a synopsis of what's going on here. So we'll try the bleach cell with the resin here shortly, Chris. We gotta get things configured for that. It shouldn't be a problem.
We want
I'm
to
so
try the
confused.
salt first too, so that we can.
Well, as I say, if bleach works fine, that's fine. You know,
Try it.
done deal.
Yeah.
So
If
we
it
shall
doesn't
see.
work, you can step up to the next level.
Magnesium oxide, commercial Cupel bone ash is calcium oxide. Oh, okay. We can check it with Chemical Montana there, see if they can get calcium oxide. Today, it was so frustrating. I went over to Chemical Montana and Assay. And I don't know if you know this, but the guy who's owned it for years, he died a short time ago.
No,
So his
I didn't know
daughters,
that.
one of his daughters was helping him with it, and the other one started helping her with it. And so I was talking to the second daughter, and I said, "Do you have anhydrous borax?" And she kind of looks at her sister, and, "Yep, okay," you know. And she looked. So it's $90 for a 50-pound bag of borax, right? So pay her. She goes, "No, because I had my nose fixed. I'm not supposed to lift or strain myself. So I have to let the girl handle the sack while I just stand there." Oh. And anyhow, and so she puts it in the truck. We get home, unload it, and look at it, and it goes borax tetrahydrate. And I'm like,
Should have looked at that before.
yeah.
Huh?
So I called up, and it's like that. They got the tech grade borax basically in stock. They can get the anhydrous. It'll take a week or two for the next truck from that supplier. No problem. We're not in a big hurry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll take it back tomorrow and get a refund. And then when that stuff, they'll give me a call.
Yeah.
They seem to be nice ladies working hard to, you know, kind of keep the business going and such. So
That's good.
give them what business I can. They're very easy to deal with, but to say this lady she wasn't familiar, you know, so she's learning. It happens.
Yeah.
Anyhow. No, but as I pointed out to I said, first of all, when you're using it for smelting, it tends to foam.
Yep.
It's a real pain in the butt.
Yep.
Secondly of all, you're paying borax price for water.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. You might as well get the tech.
might as
grade. Yeah.
get the. It's also called borax glass. It's the same product. It's basically
You can make it, you
it's
know.
been melted,
Yeah.
then cooled, and ground up.
You can make it, you know.
Yeah. Let it
Yes,
just
I know we can make
let
it.
it
We can make
expand or
anything
foam.
if we only had the time, the money, and the inclination. Yeah. I think she says I said tetra. I think it was decahydrate too. But anyhow, yeah, and I say that's the thing. It's got all that water that's not
Yeah.
only useless, but it's counterproductive.
Well, it makes a mess too. If
Yeah,
you get
it tends to foam
blow,
up and
yeah,
do things.
blow up out of here.
Exactly,
Yeah.
David. And
Again.
heptahydrate could be right. Okay, let's see what link he's giving here. Is this borax or is this the bone ash? Bone ash, natural, 390 for quantity 50. Oh, that's per unit then. But is it red bone ash?
$3.90 a pound.
390.
Yep. It's price per pound, and that's units if you want more.
Okay.
So they
Okay.
discount it if you buy 5 pounds or 10 pounds or 50 pounds.
Okay. Let's see.
That looks
So I'll go ahead and save that one too for Eva. Okay, we got a thing for bone ash for you, little one.
Okay, I'll have to make sure.
Thank
that
you,
it's got
Chris.
the right proportions.
Well, I think making a press wouldn't be that hard. But
Yeah, 500 tons a day with float cells. Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable.
wow.
I'm sure ball mills too,
Yeah.
because when you're doing that, that's the efficient way to go at those tons. Oh wait, octahydrate. Okay. Does anyone have nonahydrate? Okay, can I hear nonahydrate here?
I haven't seen octahydrate. I haven't seen pentahydrate.
Oh my goodness. Oh
Another one. There's more.
yeah.
Wait, there's more.
Well, let me see here. Okay. Borax.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Borax. Sodium borate decahydrate or sodium tetraborate decahydrate. Okay. Hydrate salt of boric acid. Okay. So decahydrate. Deca is 5, correct, little one? No, that'd be
Deca is
penta.
10.
So deca.
Penta is 5.
Yeah, so what's deca? 10?
Deca is 10.
Okay. So there you go. Man, remember, Tom, years ago I told you, wait for the opportunity and slip a good one in there. Don't just flail around. Okay? Does not make you look good. You want to look smooth, operator, you know? Just right in there, slide the knife between the ribs, slide it back out, and watch them fall. Okay?
It's simple. It's an art.
Anyhow, so that's it. That's kind of the lineup is what we're working on. And thanks for the help, Tricky and Chris. Yeah, that's right, David. If you're gonna throw puns, Deca 10, Penta 5, pentathlon, decathlon. Yep, I think you're right, Jeff.
That's what I said.
That's what
Penta is
she knows
5,
Latin,
Deca is
so
10.
You're good.
you know.
You
I
got
know
it.
Greek too.
Really?
Some of it, yes.
Would that be classical Greek, I presume?
Some of it.
Not contemporary Greek, I presume.
Epharistopoly.
I don't know what that means.
Hare Christouyena.
What does that mean?
Christos Anesti. I know all kinds of Greek.
That's probably from Greek Orthodox Church, would be my
Kale
guess.
Christuyana is Merry Christmas. Christos Anesti is Christ is risen.
Yeah.
Evaristo is thank you very much.
Eva is amazing. We'll go to church anywhere and they'll start singing stuff. She's not looking at the hymnal, she's just singing it. It doesn't matter whether it's Greek Orthodox or Protestant or Catholic. She knows the damn songs. Weird. But anyhow,
Anyway,
it's quite
all right.
impressive.
Well, we'll turn this over to Eva for her report and give you guys a few minutes.
Oh, let me prepare myself.
Howdy, everybody. You see, it hasn't dawned on him yet that it's really difficult to do accurate assays when your Cupels aren't worth crap, okay? These losses are just not acceptable to the gods. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, but my testicle you don't care
Hi,
about.
Tricky. Tricky, say bye-bye. Say hello to the babies. Give them lots of kisses from me. And yeah, I'm probably perfectly capable of making Cupels. I intend to be making Cupels next winter because I'm sick of this nonsense. Somebody needs to know how. Hi, Chris. Somebody around here has to be scientifical, you know. Now, we're going to start off tonight because I got to read you guys something funny, okay? Now, mind you, I just thought this was funny because we all know that yours truly believes in silver, okay? This is just a well-known fact. I believe in silver. And somebody the other day over at the Financial Times, I'm looking for the link right now because it's just ridiculous. Somebody over at the Financial Times decided that they were going to write an editorial about silver stackers. You know, people who get silver. And I know I saved the link in here, so I'm going to find it. If I don't find it, I will just read you one little tiny part that was just a small sample of the lunacy that comes out of so-called financial advisors and pundits of various types. Here we go. This is good. Don't bet on the silver boom. The industrial metal will not be dragged up by gold. This is by a gentleman named John Dizzard, which rhymes with gizzard and wizard. He looks to be about 137 years old and obviously a total idiot, okay? If gold was the metal that drove the conquistadores mad, in recent decades, silver has had the power to induce near psychotic states among its holders. I almost wrote investors, but that is too dispassionate a term for the true believers in silver. In recent months, gold has become a respectable part of institutional core strategies, providing a useful anchor to windward in the post-coronavirus markets. The price of silver, though, has been left behind by the now fashionable cohort of gold bugs. Silver is still up for the year in dollar terms at just above 18 ounces per troy ounce. The gold-silver ratio reached its all-time peak on March 18th when the silver price collapsed to $11.94. At that point, the spot price of a troy ounce of silver gold was worth 126.5 ounces of silver. Since then, the GSR, as Silverados would put it, has drifted down to below 100, where it has been bouncing gently since the end of May. For the silver people, the relative strength in the price of gold is a buy signal, but they believe almost anything is a buy signal. Most non-U.S. metals people think of silver in terms of its utility for tableware, jewelry, or superior electric conductivity. For a certain kind of American, silver is part of an ideology. The good news is that unlike gold, silver is really too cheap to be worth faking. Apparently, he hasn't looked lately on eBay and on AliExpress where you can buy fake American silver eagles all over the place if you're not careful. It goes along with owning a semi-automatic rifle with lots of spare ammunition. Canned goods, conspiracy theories, contempt for urban liberals. They are way past voting Republican. The most committed are silver stackers who squirrel away stacks of silver coins to trade for essentials after the societal collapse. Do not argue with these people. Just back off without making any sudden or threatening movements. Your true silver believer thinks the GSR should be much, much lower than 96 or 98 to 1. And to be fair to them, Isaac Newton would agree if he was around today. Newton believed that GSR should be fixed at 16 to 1. So this guy thinks he's smarter than Isaac Newton. Okay. Metal markets professionals do not share that view. CPM, an industry advisory firm that does not trade or sell the metals or related securities, has a house view that silver prices will not sink as they did in March, but they're likely to trade above 16 and below 20. That's not enough to spark a silver mining boom. The newest significant silver mine at Sakkampo in Finland has not been a runaway success since it opened last year. The management, which has not reportedly fully price hedged its production, has recently changed. Mining investors are more enthusiastic about the prospects for other metals, such as nickel, copper, and cobalt. As one of them says, there's much more emphasis on capital spending discipline. With silver, you have significant above-ground stocks. And that is the problem for the silver enthusiasts. Yes, the world's mine output runs short of industrial investment and jewelry demand. But there are billions of ounces of silver that have already been mined and then stored as bullion or turned into retail artifacts, which can be easily melted down. That probably explains the apparent price resistance when the metal trades near $20. The good news is, unlike gold, as I said before, silver really is too cheap to be worth faking. On the other hand, it's also too cheap to be too much interest to major banks. 40 or 50 years ago, there were rafts of precious metal groups at major banks, shuttling tons of metal through their vaults. In recent years, the physical trade in precious metals has attracted too many compliance costs and scandals to be interesting to most banks. Even first-rank hedge funds have difficulty getting ready access to the physical market for gold. Silver? Oh, they'll call back later. If you ignore these cautions and are still intrigued to buy silver, you could be haunted by the ghost of Nelson Bunker Hunt. Almost 40 years to the day before the March crash in silver, he was forced to meet billion-dollar bank crisis-triggering margin calls for his silver positions. From the peak of Texas rich, he became bankrupt. Yeah. So, yeah, we had a good laugh about that over on Wall Street Silver, as the first person said who posted the article. I don't think I'm supposed to be taking this as a compliment. People are just so ridiculous. I mean, bless this man's heart. Just bless his heart. That's all I have to say about him.
Didn't somebody comment about the backing away was a good idea?
Oh, yes. That was the most common sentiment we had. The winning comment of the day on that post on Wall Street Silver was, you mean all I have to do to get people to back away quietly and leave me the fuck alone is stack silver? Score. We should be so lucky. Yeah, I just thought that was very, very humorous, actually, because it shows you we are now beginning to see a few little voices here and there in mainstream media talking about how, gold bullion is beginning to gain a little bit of its luster, and people are beginning to cast a little bit of an eye at getting a little bit of gold just in case the inflation is bad. But on that note, y'all need to rejoice. We should all be busting out those hot dogs that we froze last year when we saved 16 cents on our 4th of July festivals and cracking out a few fireworks, because according to Lord Malarkey, who has once again made a pronouncement from somewhere, don't know if he's in the albino mansion at the moment, you never know. According to Lord Malarkey, his administration is responsible for the greatest economic recovery in modern history. Yes, America is back and it's better than ever. And in other news, Abbott Laboratories says that now that they are being allowed to open their production line for infant formula again, we should be seeing an increase in stocks in the stores in 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah. It never should have been closed in the first place, but of course, that is what happens when you have too much federal government. In other interesting news, there is more fallout for the unfortunate people over at LME. Remember the cheaters who messed with the nickel contracts back in March? Hedge fund Elliott sues LME for $456 million over nickel trading halt. Oh, I do hope they win this suit. U.S. hedge fund Elliott Associates is suing the London Metals Exchange for $456 million for canceling nickel trades after chaotic trading in March that forced the exchange to suspend its nickel market, the LME said on Monday. The legal action piles more pressure on the exchange, which is being probed by regulators and is struggling to restore trust and volumes in its nickel market. Well, let's see here. You've got a nickel market where you have buyers and sellers that are willingly entering into contractual agreements that are legally enforceable with each other, and they just happen to be using your platform to do it. And you decide, for some bizarre and unaccountable reason, that you're going to suspend trading because prices are getting too ridiculous. Well, that's one thing. Going back and canceling half a day's worth of legally binding contracts and resetting everything and then staying closed for a couple of weeks after and telling the world that you're going to set up a nice little range in which things can trade that is acceptable from your point of view. Well, gee, I'm sure that's just going to inspire trust in a whole lot of people. You know, I mean, obviously, this was just stellar financial management on their part. Elliott said the LME should not have halted trading and erased deals after prices more than doubled to over $100,000 a ton in a matter of hours on March 8th. The LME and LME Clear Limited were named as defendants in the judicial review claim filed in a British court by Elliott Associates and Elliott International last week. The LME's parent company, Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing, said. An Elliott spokesperson said in an email that the LME had acted unreasonably and irrationally. Well, derp. In particular, by taking into account irrelevant factors, including its own financial position. Well, I'm pretty sure they thought their financial position was a relative factor. My question is, if you're running an exchange, I would think it's a conflict of interest for you to have a financial position on your own exchange to begin with. The only thing you should be doing is collecting fees from everybody that uses your exchange. So, there must be something behind the scenes there. Because if they canceled all those contracts, do they get to keep the fees they collect for hosting those contracts? If they don't get to keep the fees, then they cost themselves money by doing this. Someone has to wonder. The LME, the world's largest and oldest market for industrial metals, said it had to take action to protect the market as a whole when trading became disorderly. In a statement, the exchange said it had an important role to play in ensuring the market is fair and orderly for all those who wish to participate. So let's look at this. I would make the case that since all these people were openly and transparently trading contracts and buying contracts and selling contracts, that was fair. Now, orderly, none of the metals markets are orderly in the sense of regular and not manipulated in some way. But I would say that what was going on was pretty darn orderly. It was a major short attempt, which happens all the time on Wall Street and in the metals markets. It added, the nickel market had become disorderly. and that it had canceled deals from midnight to 08:15 Greenwich Mean Time on March 8th in an attempt to return the market to the time when it had last been orderly. The LME therefore considers Elliott's grounds for complaint are without merit, and the LME will defend any judicial review proceedings vigorously. LME sued nearly a decade ago. Elliott Management, founded and co-led by billionaire Paul Singer, is known for activist investing. Interesting. The Elliott spokesperson did not say in the email what LME nickel positions it had when deals were canceled. The last time LME was sued was nearly a decade ago when Russian aluminum giant Rusal sought to derail proposed LME reforms aimed at easing huge backlogs to withdraw metal from its global warehousing network. The LME initially lost the case, but won an appeal allowing it to go forward and implement the reforms. Last month, the LME proposed measures it said would improve transparency and stability in the over-the-counter metals market, including more frequent disclosures of all positions. HKEX shares closed up 1.6%, underperforming the broader market index, which gained 2.7%. Very interesting. And speaking of aluminum, as an aside here, there's something kind of funny going on in Panda Land that we're not getting too much news about these days. Well, other than the fact that Evergrande, the largest real estate company over there, officially went into default the other day. That's just minor and something that most Americans won't care about, except for the fact that so many American banks are armpit deep in the totally failing and imploding Chinese real estate market. But there's something else interesting going on in Panda Land. Apparently, the Chinese government is now auditing the physical metals that are being held in a wide variety of warehouses hither and yon, most specifically aluminum, because it turns out that some unsavory characters of some kind have been making trades and investment deals and getting loans while claiming they have X amounts of physical aluminum in warehouses. And the people who are loaning them money discovered that mysteriously, it seems that aluminum just isn't there. How very odd. One has to wonder how many other repositories hither and yon for various critical metals don't have the metals they're supposed to have. Because in the middle of all this, there was another interesting little news article. Apparently, Austria, in some little country over there in Europe, apparently Austria was storing some gold in London in some bank vaults. And way back about 10 years ago, 10 years now, they told these London vaults that they wanted to move their gold from London to Switzerland. Now, that gold was supposed to be moved at the latest in 2015. There's quite a lot of it, 50, 60, 70 tons of gold. And for some unaccountable reason, it hasn't been moved. And for some unaccountable reason, they can't seem to get an answer on getting a physical audit of their gold that happens to be held in a repository that is run by the Bank of England or somebody. This reminds me of the problems that other foreign nations had some years ago during the reign of Obama, when they wanted to inspect and pick up some of their physical gold that was held nowhere other than the New York Federal Reserve, which is like the second largest repository in the world, supposedly. And for some unaccountable reason, first they weren't allowed to see it at all. Then they were told it could be 7 years before it was delivered. Then they were told, well, the bars don't look exactly like the ones that you sent over here because we kind of melted them down and recasted them because reasons. It's little things like this that make the goddess wonder just how much physical metal is actually in these various repositories. And I'm still wondering why they've got plywood up all over Fort Knox. But then again, we all know that Fort Knox has been a little sketchy since 1971. Some of us remember that year. Just saying, just saying. And in other interesting news in the gold department here, now this is something that interests the goddess since I have now become a scientist in my spare time, just for the fun of it. Picasso pigment may be key to recovering gold from e-waste. Researchers at Nagoya University and the Tokyo Institute of Technology discovered a pigment called Prussian blue. And by the way, Prussian blue is also used to treat radiation poisonings of various types. May be the key to recovering precious metals such as gold and platinum from nuclear and electronic waste. Besides giving some of Picasso and Van Gogh's paintings a characteristic dark blue hue, Prussian blue has been used by chemists to recover certain metals. This is possible because the pigment has a nanometer size spaces or nanospaces, which in turn have a jungle gem-spaced lattice. Wow, I'd like to look at that under an electron microscope. In a study published in the journal Scientific Reports, the Japanese researchers explained they used X-rays and ultraviolet spectroscopy to learn more about the process that allows Prussian blue to uptake multivalent metals. I was surprised to discover Prussian blue uptakes the platinum group precious metals by substitution with iron ions in the framework while keeping the jungle gem structure. Yun Onoe, one of the scientists involved in the discovery, said, "This mechanism allows Prussian blue to uptake more gold and platinum group metals than conventional bio-based absorbents." Maybe the goddess has to take up painting. Just saying. The researcher pointed out this study also allowed him and his team to show a way to solve one of the major problems of disposing of nuclear waste. Currently, spent nuclear fuel generated from power plants is taken to a reprocessing plant where the radioactive liquid wastes are converted into a glass-like state for geological disposal. In this process, leftover platinum group metals often settle on the sidewall surface of the melter, therefore creating an uneven distribution of heat. The imbalance affects the quality and stability of the vitrified objects and increases costs as the melter must be flushed before it can be used again. Our findings demonstrate Prussian blue or its analogs are a candidate for improving the recycling of precious metals from nuclear and electronic waste, Onoe said, especially when compared to conventional used bio-based absorbents and activated carbons. In the scientist's view, by making the recycling of metals more efficient, Prussian blue or its analog promises to make recycling more environmentally and economically friendly. Now that is cool. Cool science there, I do think. We have all noticed that right now gold and silver are on sale. Granted, this isn't great in some ways because premiums are still through the roof. I will say our premiums are very reasonable over here at Grizzly. Grizzly Golden Coin in Helena, and they have branches elsewhere in Montana and Idaho, is actually a really good group of stores. Great people. Got some good stuff today. Had to get something, One should be buying some precious metals every single week. Make it a line item budget every week. Dollar cost averaging is your friend here. Bullion investing gains momentum, but it's not mainstream. Well, it's more mainstream than they think it is, I can tell you that. The wave of investors buying physical gold and silver over the past 2 years has certainly impacted the market. Retail demand for coins, rounds, and bars is now multiples what it was prior to the COVID outbreak and the 2020 presidential election. Mint and refiners are still working to add enough capacity. While American investors at large may feel more than a little nervous about their portfolios, most are still listening to their financial advisors. The decision to dump some paper assets and buy physical bullion still looks like a radical move. Only a small fraction are ready to make it. Longtime gold bugs wonder when and if bullion investing might move from the fringe into the mainstream. The theory makes plenty of sense, but it's been making sense for the past 1.5 decades. The perception is a reckoning is coming in the conventional financial markets. If the bubbles there start popping, there will be very few places to run, and it will be time for physical metal to shine. The when is in many cases more important than the why. So when will the trickle of Americans buying bullion give way to a flood? I will say it's already becoming more popular. Correctly guessing the answer is essentially an exercise in mass psychology, which is to say, it is anything but an exact science. The best we can offer is a signal we think is likely to indicate this migration has begun. Watch the premiums for large bars, 1,000-ounce and 1 kilo gold bars. Dealers like Money Metals offer these bars and publish their pricing. These are the bars along with 100-ounce gold stored and traded in the COMEX vault system. Mints refiners and other industrial users for precious metals purchase large bars for use in production. If a large investor wants to buy physical metal, these bars are by far the most economical way to do it. And that is true. Right now, down at our local coin shop, the 1,000-ounce bar that is in the counter is available for $1 over spot, which if I happen to have the money, I could use a new doorstop or some ballast for the canoe, just saying.
Need a bigger canoe.
Big one.
Well, yeah, it's not that big a bar. It's only 1,000 ounces. Premiums for large bars are historically quite stable. Buyers have generally been able to get metal in whatever quantity was needed at something very close to the paper market price. Demand for retail-sized coins, rounds, and bars spiked higher just over 2 years ago when demand overwhelmed the ability by producers and dealers to supply. Large bars, however, have remained in stock and available, at least for the most part. There was a tremor in 1,000-ounce silver bar premiums in the spring of 2020. Prices took a healthy leap higher when bullion banks sold more paper silver than they should have and were caught short by the number of buyers taking actual delivery. Premiums have stabilized since then. Outside of that event, higher premiums have been driven exclusively by too little fabrication capacity to meet the surging demand for smaller products. Surging premiums for larger bars will indicate a shortage in supply rather than manufacturing capacity. Mine production is sufficient to meet demand for industrial use and a modest level of investment demand. It will not be anywhere near sufficient for any larger scale rotation out of conventional financial assets and into metals. The inventory of COMEX silver bars dropped to a 4-year low last week. Yeah, it was down to under 75 million ounces. Crazy. These inventories are certainly worth watching. In truth, however, there hasn't been a reliable correlation between lower COMEX inventory and higher prices. When declining stocks translate into higher bar premiums, investors will know something is afoot. Now, that is an interesting thing because, for instance, if you buy SLV or PSLV, a couple of the paper silver options that you have that claim to be storing physical bars in a physical vault, in the case of PSLV, it's the Royal Vault, the one in Canada. I wouldn't trust them after what happened last year, But at any rate, it's interesting to note that if you own those types of things and you have 1,000 shares, you can get physical delivery. But already there are documented cases on YouTube and documented cases with paperwork and emails and everything in various forums online that show that people who actually decided to try to get their 1,000 ounces from these groups were running into some difficulties. It's not as easy to get those bars as you would think since you supposedly own them. The other thing that's interesting is a couple of these vault services don't keep your particular silver segregated. One has to wonder about that, which is why I don't put our silver in vaults. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. Can't trust any of these people these days. Especially not with all the mail theft going up. That's another thing, people. Be very careful who you order silver from online because the porch pirates have caught on to the fact that certain silver companies will circulate through bogus names on their return address to hide the fact that that big heavy box is full of silver instead of car parts. The lists of those names that they circulate through has been running around in places where porch pirates congregate. So yes, packages are beginning to disappear, which is why I buy local. Number one reason to buy local. Things looked a little bit odd the other day at ye old Walmart. I don't know if you've noticed this in your Walmart lately, but I was counting the squares on the floor the other day in ye old Walmart. And lo and behold, it was not my imagination. The aisles have gotten wider. And it also was not my
Have I mentioned
imagination.
she's OCD?
It also is not my imagination that they're spreading out the products. They don't have the full lines of certain cereals, for instance. They have X number of square feet, running feet of shelf space for Post cereal products, of which Post has like 25 zillion types of cereal. Well, our Walmart at least isn't getting all 25 zillion types of cereal. They're getting about 7, so they're spreading them out and putting them only 2 deep or 3 deep instead of the 6 deep that the shelves will hold, which I found a little interesting. I also found it interesting that my yogurt had different tops on it. Normally, the top is stamped with the name of the yogurt, so it matches the container. This was not the case. It has also been noted by myself and other people that a lot of other interior wraps, like the wrapping that goes on your ice cream bars or the wrapping that goes on other things that are packaged inside a box, is being no longer printed as well. People are finding random blank wrappings, which is kind of a little interesting. Amongst the things that have disappeared, we can count a whole lot of packaging material that nobody is talking about. Many, many things are disappearing that people are not talking about. Probably because a lot of people don't really think about it until they go and look. But yeah, stuff is disappearing still. That is just going to become worse because while we're not getting reports out of Shanghai these days, the shipping situation does not look very good at the moment at all. And it should be noted that when we went to Montana Chemical today, we were talking to the very nice ladies there, and they said that their transportation surcharges went up 38.5% this week.
238%.
To 38.5% this week. Quite interesting. When you put that together with the number of owner operator truckers that I'm seeing talking to people online and saying, I'm sitting at home and doing nothing because I can't afford to take runs, and you put that together with the wildly skewed car to truck ratio on I-15 over there, things are a lot worse in the transport industry than we have been led to believe. Not that this surprises me, because there's a whole lot of news we are not hearing. I mean, we all know that Lord Malarkey half the time doesn't even know where he is. And we all know that Lady Heels Up couldn't put together a coherent sentence to save her life. And the media is studiously ignoring much of what is going on. But I predict that things are going to be a whole lot worse over the next couple of months because it's going to be a little difficult to hide the continuing deterioration of the supply chain. And people are beginning to notice. So keep an eye out. And remember, when silver and gold are on sale, it's a good idea to buy more. Most definitely. And it's also a good idea to get more food in the house because large eggs went up again. And they're going to go up again next week. Bye. We're going to be down to medium eggs in another month or so. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. or won't be able to get them at all.
Oh, we all know that.
Hey, Busted.
Hi, Busted.
Hello to Heather. No, you're not too late. We're back here.
No, we didn't. And Eva's annoyed because she wants that ride on the SU-35. Anyhow, so yeah, there's, the old saying, to make money, you buy low, sell high. Well, right now the price is low, so what are you supposed to be doing? At least that's my philosophy here. Oh, no.
You gotta move the whole thing.
I got to move the whole thing.
There you go. That's pretty good.
In order to
kinda
get my amazing sign language interpretation there, I need to scoot that off to the side there.
Well, what's the question, Heather? Bring the good questions.
So far, we've just been discussing some of the phenomena we've run into in the last week or so. And since I've had some minor health issues and it's been raining, production has been kind of held back. But one thing we noticed was that the fire assays on the ore that we're putting in the agitation tank are not balancing with the solution strength of the gold, in terms of we got more gold in solution than there should be in the system.
Right. Better than the head grade.
Which indicates that we've got more gold in there than we think we do, or else there's an analytical error. And we think it may be caused by some coarse gold. Where's your Borg device? I actually thought that the other day. You will be assimilated. It's out right now, and it wasn't necessary in the first place in terms of the bleeding. When the way I'm here, it was right about here. But that ER doctor didn't care. He had his standard procedure: stick a balloon up your nose and inflate your brain.
Add some more pressure.
Got into an ear, nose, and throat guy, and he used a lot of chemical cautery in here this morning. So it's
correct, Rick.
Really? Is that what they mean?
Yeah.
Prussian blue. What is Prussian blue?
Prussian blue. It's cyanide. It's cyanide.
Is it iron ferrocyanide?
It's actually a color.
Yeah.
It's a painting.
Right. Oh, there. I was going to say it came up as soon as you
It's a
started.
pigment for painting, and it's also used to treat certain forms of radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
Iron ferrocyanide.
Yep.
Okay. Okie
Yeah,
dokie.
so it's not any grand thing.
See how complicated that molecule is?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So I can buy a tube of Artist Prussian blue, and I'll have some poison in the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not very effectively.
That's why
the bleach would work
most of
faster.
the painters didn't last. I agree.
Heather,
Chris.
when you say about cyanide process, are you talking our leaching process?
Your
which
leaching,
is a
which is
non-cyanide?
not, it's not cyanide. Yeah, I would definitely go over that again.
Chris says the article was pure BS.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty smart guy, so he can understand what they were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I thought,
don't dispute it. I just thought it was interesting.
was I the only one who thought I'd really love to have a problem where my molds are getting coated with platinum and I just have to clean them out?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I can leave, I can live with that.
I just thought it was an interesting idea.
I say, is the cyanide process a waste of time? Obviously not. It's been the industry standard for over 100 years. The non-cyanide process that we're using seems to be doing a great job of getting the gold into solution and from solution into resin. And now our only bottleneck is getting it out of the resin, which is what we're kind of focusing on right now, besides just production. We've got plenty of resin, plenty of chemical in stock. I've expanded the mill pad size, so we have more surface area. So we theoretically have enough to process all the ore we're going to use produce this year. And we got the jaw crusher going, the little jaw crusher, and it's just been raining this week, so couldn't get much production done.
This is interesting.
Uh-huh.
They reopened the investigation into the mysterious death of former President Bill Clinton's advisor, Mark Middleton.
Not familiar with that one. I remember Vince
That
Foster.
was the one that was found hanging from a tree with a shotgun blast to the chest. in
And
early
suicide. They called it
May. It
suicide.
was suicide.
That's pretty tricky.
Yeah, it was really tricky.
Yeah, I love people who really just don't want to do it the normal way, but go out of their way to come up with
You gotta
something
hear this.
new and novel and innovative.
He died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest. He found a tree and he pulled a table over there, got on the table, took an extension cord, put it around a limb, put it around his neck, shot himself in the chest with a shotgun.
Yeah.
It's
Not
very
complicated.
evident the shotgun worked because there was not a lot of blood or anything on the scene.
Well, it's one of those self-sterilizing, self-cauterizing shotgun wounds.
I guess.
Yeah, he served as a
We're in
conduit
Montana,
between
Heather.
Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein.
Helena, Montana.
I don't know why you're so conspiracy-minded. You know what the difference between a conspiracy theory and the news is now?
About a week.
About 2 months. Yeah.
About a week.
Yeah. But anyhow, so I didn't get a whole lot accomplished this week. Yeah. Why do your cupels crack? Ah, here you go, little one. Question for you. You asked, Andy.
Yep. Here you go, Andy.
I have been studying this because since our cheapo depot
Read his
Candyland Cupels have a tendency to do
Read his
this.
comment.
Pulled the cues out early. There were different color and size balls on top of the bismuth. Have you? Yes, I have, Andy. Okay. Cupels can crack for a couple of reasons. The number one reason that they can crack around here is because they have too high a moisture content in them. You can try to get them down to the 11 to 12% moisture they're supposed to have
Correct.
by putting them in a low oven at about 300 degrees for several hours. Okay. The second reason my cupels have been cracking, I have come to the conclusion after examining them microscopically, is they have too high a silica content. A good cupel is supposed to ring kind of like a metallic chime when you tap them together,
Wine glasses.
like wine glasses or small pieces of metal like tuning. Sterling silver forks is
Yep,
what one source said that I read.
Tuning fork.
And when you click mine together, they thunk, which is a really, really bad thing. The other reason, so the higher silica content in some of the ones that are being sold now, like the ones that we have from probably Pandaland, tend to crack unless you bring them up to temperature very slowly. Now, my book says you should take 10 minutes to bring them up to a dark red temperature before you put in your lead button or your foil packet to finish a refining process. I tend to bring mine up to about 800 degrees over about a 15-minute period. They are still cracking because they have too much silica in them. That's the best I can figure right now. I examine them microscopically, and yeah, I do know what silica looks like when you examine stuff microscopically, okay? But
that answered his question. So
that's the thing, is the first thing you want to do is make sure your cupels are kept in a dry location. You don't want them to be desert dry, but they should be around 11% liquid by weight. They should be about 11% moisture. I discovered the best way to do that was to put them in the oven about 300 degrees for probably an hour or so, and then I weighed them and discovered that they had lost about 8% of their weight, and then I sealed them once they were cool, room temperature. I sealed them in a Ziploc bag because mine are not in a climate controlled environment. The second thing that I'm doing with them now to minimize cracking, it is not 100% secure, but it does minimize cracking, is before I introduce the lead button or the lead foil packet with my parting debris, I bring the cupel up to about 800 degrees over a 20-minute period or so. The book says they should be about a dark red color when you put in your lead button or your lead foil, and almost immediately you should see the lead get all dull and scaly, so it looks almost like ashes. And then as the lead comes up to melting point temperature, that falls back and you see the silver bead. That's called uncovering. So I discovered mine are less likely to crack when I get the Cupel to the right temperature first. And then at the very end, I have been letting mine, when I shut off my furnace, I have been letting them sit in the furnace and come down about 10 minutes or so, come down about 400 or 500 degrees before I bring them out onto the counter. Because I noticed the last couple of days is it's been cool and damp when the humidity changed.
Right.
It's been cool and wet. And when the humidity changed, I saw a lot more cracking happening when I took them out and brought them into air, which I had not mentioned to Professor Hardrock, but that is something I've noticed. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be leaving them in the furnace with the door just cracked a little bit and letting them cool down before I bring them out. But yeah, the cracking thing is ridiculous. That's one of the reasons that I actually want to make some of my own, first of all, to learn how to do it. And second of all, so I can keep track of losses, because we are getting losses we should not be getting. Those losses are in the darn Cupels, and I want my gold and silver back. I mean, that's just me. I don't like that. The other thing I suggest, Portland cement. The books are divided on this one, Andy. It is something that I am definitely going to be trying. You want to get something that has a very fine grain. I can look up the mesh sizes for you, and if you send Professor Hardrock an email, I can give you the different mesh sizes that you want to make something out of Portland cement, so that you get the right porosity. Because the reason a good Cupel works the way it does and does all the absorptions without getting the cracking and without losing the silver and gold into the Cupel is because there's very specific proportions of different mesh sizes of the minerals involved. So when I make mine out of Portland cement, because I am going to experiment with Portland cement here real soon, I'm going to be getting the mesh sizes proportional and making sure that there's as little silica involved as possible in this. It is something I am going to try. I have not tried plaster of Paris yet. That is something I am looking at, but so far none of the books have shown that the chemistry should work. That is something that I'm trying to work on. I'm working on several different alternatives here because I don't like losses better than anybody else. The other thing I would recommend, Andy, is when your Cupel is cool, get a good jeweler's loupe or under a microscope, but a good jeweler's loupe, and examine your Cupels, because I have noticed in examining the Cupels, there have been several times that I saw micro beads of gold that had fallen into the micro cracks at the very bottom in the center. And when I broke the Cupel open, I managed to get those. I've been collecting them in a little dish. But by examining the Cupel, you can see what kind of things are left behind. And quite frequently, if I haven't gotten it to quite the high enough temperature, or I've cooled it down too fast before it had a chance to fully collect everything, it has left behind microbeads that I can see with my naked eye, but he can't. Okay. I can see things that are about 1/4 the size of a grain of salt with my naked eye, but I always confirm with the loupe. And I keep every single wasted Cupel that I have because I'm going to get my stuff back out of them. I'm going to. Cupels are going to be my thing, people. But anyway, well, the ones that I have, Roberts, are supposedly bone ash Cupels.
From Pandaland.
Yeah,
I
from
don't know.
Pandaland.
Have you actually looked on the box? Does it say from China?
Probably.
Let me put it this way, Bear. It probably says made in America from Chinese materials. I haven't looked on the box, but nothing is made in America anymore.
Yeah.
We all know
Good
this.
luck.
Okay. But yeah, Andy, I am working very hard on Cupels. So when I have some more to report on different types of Cupels, I am going to be playing with Portland cement. And when I have some more to report on how Cupels work, I'm definitely going to be having either him film some stuff or me have a little report from lab stuff. Any other questions about Cupels? That's one thing I know about these things. I can tell you this, they're not as easy to break as you would think they are. It's astonishing how well those damn things hold together. And I can also tell you that I really do want to try putting some of that mystery powder that I accidentally made when everything turned purple into the furnace. But he won't let me.
No,
I don't think it would blow up. I really don't.
We don't know what it is at this point.
I mean, if we made quicklime, I don't think that's explosive.
No, it's probably more like a lead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
more
I want that
likely.
anyway.
Yep.
Whole purpose of this exercise?
Yeah, right.
I want my leg. I want my silver.
Okay, let's see what Chris has said.
My gold.
What? That's not what it's supposed to do. Open like a new tab. There we go.
Let's see what we got here.
Flowmag, granular magnesium oxide mineral. So that's for making magnesia cupels, which he says are superior to bone ash cupels.
I do want to try making magnesia cupels.
Looks like
The book does discuss them.
free shipping. What's the weight?
50 pounds.
50?
Right there.
50 pounds, $125.
Yeah. Not too bad of a
That's
price.
not terribly expensive.
No.
What's the worst that can
Never
happen?
ask that, David.
When crushing cupels, deadly lead poisoning.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to be crushing cupels, you have to wear a really good respirator. She was annoyed that I required her to do so, but
I was outside in a stiff breeze.
yeah. Anyhow, I figured we'd just get a bunch of them, and then when we got a good day, just run them through the RC46.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good idea. Run them through the rollers.
Yeah, that'll get it pretty fine really quick.
Oh,
Yeah, they'll grind
and the
them.
White House has announced that frustrated Americans should remember gas prices are even higher in other countries than they are in America.
Yeah.
They don't believe
not
in
for long.
They don't believe in American exceptionalism. We'll just make sure we're doing just as badly as anyone else. Yep. Anyhow, so that's it. We're working on developing hopefully a stripping cell for the resin, and Jim came up with his sample mining lease thing here that we're going to see about getting onto my website.
Yeah. So for anybody leasing a claim or being a leaseor of a claim, it's got pretty good information in it. I don't know what it is total, about 12 pages long, 11. It covers most of the important things as far as a lease agreement.
What's the phosphate for, Chris?
Phosphate.
I'm not sure.
Hey, John.
Hey, John. That's okay. You can watch it again.
Yeah, you can go
The
back
miracle
and
of
watch it.
YouTube. Yep. That's essentially bone ash? Okay. Oh.
The book is very specific about the proportions of minerals that are in a good bone ash.
Okay.
That's true.
Anyhow,
Any other good questions, guys, gals?
so that's what's going on here.
Oh, that hurts, Andy.
That's why you like to double connect, like put the vial in a Ziploc in your pocket or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yep, carry it in two things.
Daubink says the research has been done by assayers. A magnesia cupel will give the least loss of gold to absorption.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Then I want to make them.
Duly noted.
Anyhow. Bone ash is what they did when they didn't know better. Or maybe they didn't know how to make magnesium oxide at that point,
Well, they
too.
probably didn't have it. Yeah.
Well, the book did mention magnesium Cupels.
Okay.
I'm going to be trying all kinds of things.
Well, I'm sure.
Complicated.
Yeah, but there's no reason.
Or as
to
David
make-
says, and.
Yeah, right. And what's next?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you might remember my dumb ideas have already borne fruit in some directions, too.
Yes.
Well, my ex-wife bore one fruit. Have you seen those graphite? You mean the
Yeah.
big graphite clay crucibles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah. If you're just smelting gold by itself, that's fine.
Especially big things
If
like
you're
that.
doing the testing that Keith is doing, you have to do it in a little different order than just graphite.
Yeah. Okay, David, we got one in this week. Oh, that was a good one, David. You snuck that one right in there. Tom, that's what I'm talking about. You wait for your opportunity, you just slide it in there.
Just be careful following Keith. He wanders.
Yeah. No, I've never seen the video of them making a crucible out of a potato. Oh, no more show and tell. That would be a no show, no tell, right? I've never heard of that one. The potato crucible.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's a video on it on YouTube.
What do they do? Carve it and then
I didn't watch it. I was going to, but I didn't watch
sounds
it.
like you might be able to turn it into a graphite crucible. You know?
I'll have to go watch it, I guess.
Oh man.
Just so I can answer the question.
There you go. Anyhow.
They used to use a potato with mercury. Yeah, no, Chris, that isn't what they were doing. They were actually using it as a crucible. But yeah, with mercury years ago, the old guys would use it
to absorb
just
the
to
mercury.
absorb the mercury off of the gold.
Yeah.
And that did work.
You blacken the potato and then it's ready to heat the metal.
Hmm.
Make sure you thoroughly blacken it before pouring
Yeah.
the molten metal in.
Yeah,
or
that water. in
life
that
could get
thing,
interesting.
yeah,
I want to try
the
it.
moisture wouldn't be
She
real
wants
good
to
with
try
the
it.
real heat.
Well, of course I want to try it. Probably be easier to recover the lead from the potato.
I don't know.
Oh dear.
He's not the only one, John. I had a vial one day with 1/3 of an ounce in my top pocket in my t-shirt, climbing in and out of the
Oh.
excavator. And it was the last time I saw it. I'm sure I leaned out of the excavator and dropped it, never seen it. But
Oh.
so someday somebody's going to be digging along up there and they're going to find a vial with 1/3 of an ounce of gold in it.
Didn't try your metal detector?
I tried everything, but I think it was fairly deep where I was digging, but I was leaning out of the excavator looking over the tracks, and I'm sure I dropped it and it's probably in the bottom of the drainage somewhere.
Oh, that sucks.
I was a little disheartened
Little
at
miffed?
the end of the day when I went, oh no.
a little mythified, huh?
Yeah, it was not, but it happens.
I'm a little bit paranoid, so I like to.
Well, usually I'd put it in my lower pocket because I carry a vial in my pocket, but I put it in my t-shirt pocket or something. And
Well,
instead of worrying about saving it, I was worried about digging.
that's one reason why before we leave the lab, we usually melt them into 2 to 5 gram buttons.
Yep.
I mean beads,
And lock them in.
and
a
then put them in
tube.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Where-
Even if it
It
somehow
can't-
manages to get out of this, you still got a bead,
Yeah.
this big,
Uh-huh.
fairly easy to find in your pocket.
And I put it in my pouch
She puts it in her pouch.
Yeah.
and zip it shut.
and zips it shut.
I've seen how things fall out of your pockets. Okay.
Well, I said it fell out.
Yeah, I've done it. So
Yeah.
it happens.
Anyhow, I'm also supposed to take a couple 3 days of light duty this week, which is annoying as can be. So that's also going to slow down things a little bit. I was hoping to work like gangbusters this week and get 1 or 2 batches of ore done and then get back to the mine next week. So we shall see what happens.
Yeah, that's a good one, Chris, because they're pretty solid. The top is on there. It's a little harder to get it off.
And that's one case where the safety lids come in handy.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is one case where they work out really well because it doesn't just unscrew in your pocket.
Yep.
It's all right, John.
Yep. Okay.
Any other good questions?
Yeah, it's only 8:30.
Yeah.
Something's wrong. Somebody new needs to ask an open-ended question that we can spend an hour and a half in the morning. Oh,
We can argue over.
well, yeah.
Well, I can talk about all the experiments I have lined up.
Exactly, Chris.
I prefer you tell them when you finish them, we have results.
Okay.
You know, just like when I do the video on the different rock types that we're segregating, I won't post it until after I get the assays. And then I can say this is high grade, low grade.
Right.
Yeah. This is good. This is crap. That's
I started shooting some video too, but I'm going to wait until I can put it together with some more stuff. And
yeah. You're rebuilding a Q? Oh, I don't know when I use my MD20. I should use it later on this summer when I'm back in the mine.
What are the best steps to prospect a vein in the wilderness?
Ooh. Well,
that's an open-ended question.
It depends upon what the mineralization is. And is it already partially developed? Is there any mining on it? Or is this just a blank vein
that you're seeing
that you just found, but there's no indication? Around here, virtually any vein that had anything has already been prospected at one time or another if it's got surface exposure, but might not have much visual on it unless it was pretty good stuff. But first thing you need to do is sample it. And the difficulty in sampling something like that is the size of the gold. If it's coarse enough, i.e. 400 mesh or better, you pretty much should be able to crush it and pan it and get a good idea. If it's real microfine gold like what I've got, that is likely misleading. Although if it's even the stuff I've got when I was hand panning the samples, I was getting good detectable results with stuff that's running half ounce to the ton. You know, it's looking like maybe a 1/10 or a 0.05 or something like that. But it was easy to see that there was something there. And so if you go in some of my other videos, you'll see some that are saying how to hand pan microfine gold. That'll get you down to about 500 mesh or about 35,000 35 thousandths or 35 microns? No, 35 microns are
Microns.
about 1,000th of an inch.
Yeah.
Okay. And that will give you a good idea, because if you got higher grade gold, the kind that a micro scale miner can use, you should get enough of the coarser stuff that you'll be able to see it easily. If it's free milling gold, you should be able to hand pan it pretty easily using my technique.
It says it's free milling. You know,
Yeah.
I guess then it would just be your sampling procedure across the face of the vein. If
Yeah.
you got access to the vein, you know, the portal's open or whatever, or the exposure.
And make sure it's on open land
Yeah.
before you do that. Otherwise, it's theft. So, yeah. And say, I have found that the hand panning technique works pretty well on free milling gold. If you got something that doesn't have to be leached to get good recoveries,
You don't want to.
the hand panning will give you a good idea what's in it.
Yeah. Then you can figure out equipment from there.
Yeah. What kind of equipment you got for crushing gold stream? Eva found out that even Cupels in a dolly pot are a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
Even the
Gold Stream's got some decent equipment.
even the slag.
Oh yeah, that stuff can get hard. Man,
Takes a
that
lot of
glass
work.
and some of that, it gets hard.
Yeah, and when it gets humid, it gets sticky.
Yeah, and some people ask me about, does your slag, get kind of, spongy and sticky and nasty? It has this week. Very high humidity. That was Saturday. I mean, you could see the mist rising from the trees.
Yep.
Type humidity.
Yeah.
But that's the first time I've noticed it. I mean, here, if you get over 50% humidity, it's unusual.
Yeah, that was about as high as it really
It
gets
gets
here.
extremely sticky, and we theorize that it's because of the high soda ash content in some of our slag. Because the slag I had that had less soda ash was significantly less sticky.
Yeah. And so these are some of the things we've noticed that some of our charges have too thick, too viscous a flux. So Eva's working on a variety of tests to determine how to get a good thin flux under all conditions. That was one thing I was noticing I was watching Mount Baker's stuff, and he's always got a thin flux. And I'm like, okay, so he's got 80% was it soda ash, 20% silica in this one. That one's all borax, and they're all thin. And it's like, what the hell? Doesn't work for me.
No.
Well, I tell you, I think our resin is what affects the flux, because my fluxes are entirely different when I'm not working with the resin.
Yeah. Lime has a lot of calcium in it, all right. Calcium hydroxide.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Ouch. Oh. Oh.
That kind of sucks, Binks, as far as wilderness. I mean, you're down to a hand steel and a hammer.
And then you got your question.
Is it mineable though? That, is it open for mineral entry? That's the other problem with wilderness.
If it's wilderness, it's not open to mineral entry.
So you're actually illegally mining if you get caught.
Yeah.
Which is stealing from the U.S. government.
Which, now, if you were a Democrat, wouldn't be a problem, okay? But if you're a registered Republican, that's probably treason, insurrection, and you'll be held without bail for 3 years. Yep. Oh. Yeah, let's say if it's wilderness, there's not a whole lot of reason to even spend the effort to.
Well, if you can get a little weekend gold, I guess it'd be. But
Even
most of
then,
the time, the wilderness areas, you got to be careful because the minerals are closed.
yeah,
That
exactly.
creates a situation.
If it's a federal wilderness area, it is closed to mineral exploration, which means it's theft.
Oh,
They did that years ago.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
Goldstream. They're trying to make everything crazy.
Yeah, Jason's got some interesting stuff. Oh, dearie, my eyes itching.
It's
I think I'm going to take another pain pill tonight. It's the weirdest thing is it's not the nose that hurts so much; it's my teeth.
yeah,
On my upper jaw?
your sinuses. Yeah, the nerves. Well, that's kind of the conclusion we've all came to. Goldstream is there's a certain level that you can withstand, and then at that point, who cares?
As Robert Heinlein once said, nothing's illegal if you don't get caught.
Yes.
Well, you would
Yeah.
think so at it, but you know how that is. The law is whatever some judge said. No, sorry. The law is whatever your judge says it is.
Yeah. Yeah, they just have created rules and regulations around everything to the point you're not supposed to do anything, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly, Chris, because not all of them were withdrawn, or there was areas that weren't withdrawn.
So
that
that usually already claimed.
Well, so that is stuff you have to check out, which, I brought up earlier. There's kind of certain criteria that if you're going to be in an area, you should try to go through the criteria a little bit and just double check stuff.
Yeah, Daubinks, if it's pocket gold, a good metal detector will do you a world of good in that, because you should have some big enough chunks to be able to find.
A lot of skarn type deposits are pockets, and that's something that a lot of guys don't understand. Just because there's placer even in a drainage, the placer can end at any point. It can be a small area, and then anything above that, depending on the type of deposit, which I've went over before on here, is understanding the deposit can tell you whether you need to start searching side hills or go up the drainage to look for another similar situation, because nothing is consistent in most of this.
Yeah, if there were claims there before the wilderness was declared, then they were usually grandfathered in.
And it could be open for mineral entry. That's just stuff you need to verify.
Well, the 50 grams borax, 50 grams soda ash would match the balances that the assay book says. But a lot of the stuff I've seen Jason use is like, the book says that shouldn't be that thin, but it is. I mean, you can see him pour it. So I don't know.
That's because of the type of ore he's got.
Let's see. I think the wilderness designations are primarily by the eco fanatics to try and restrict all human interaction with the land.
All access.
Yeah. The environmentalists, they want to turn 1/3 of the United States into wilderness area.
They want this to be Buffalo Commons here in Montana. I mean, it's just so far out there. You just stand and go, what?
Yep.
Hydrothermal redeposition on carbon slate. That should hold some pretty nice gold if you can figure it out. Just as you said, they hit a pocket of 4,500 ounces. That combination there is a good combination for big, coarse gold, if you can figure it out. And if there's one pocket, more than likely there's many more.
How thick is the carbon slate formation?
A lot of times it's more like a dike. It won't be real wide. It's like almost like an intrusive. Oh, exactly. Your flux is always going to be determined by the ore, just like a lot of your testing is going to be determined by the ore, what you're going to have to do.
The problem is finding a book that says if your ore is this is what
right.
you do.
Well, that's
where it gets complicated.
Right. If it was simple, it would be simple. It's not.
What? Is that what's been going wrong?
Yeah.
Damn it.
You're constantly having to, you answer one question and create 3 more questions.
Yeah. I think the mountain lions are probably already there. I know that over 10 years ago, about 50 miles south in was it Escondido? I think it's Escondido, just north of Rancho Bernardo. Yeah, they had a mountain lion problem up there. There were so many of them. We got enough of them here, Chris. If you want to come up and
you
pick
could
up
have some
1 or 2 1,000 of them,
yeah, you could take
haul them down there. Put them in Hollywood. Hollywood, I think, would be a great place for grizzly bears.
Take them some.
Yeah.
I think, Chris, actually, I'm not sure if it's a coal seam, but it's a bituminous. That slate can be a bituminous. So probably something to do with the way the earth is creating oil. It also creates some bituminous slate.
No, that was a diet cola, Roberts.
There was too much blood in my caffeine system.
Oh. I changed the balance the other way. I just removed some of the blood.
Yeah, just drain it.
Just drain it.
Yeah. Just take it down.
Why am I just
that's the pressure behind it, and
so annoying.
Yeah. Well, that got us on a good subject for a little bit. Come on, guys.
We got 27 people here. Let's come up with some good stuff to yak.
29.
Wow.
That's cool.
Eva, you're stealing my line from 25 years ago. Well, I think in her case, she's stealing it from Gonzo. Did you get that one from Gonzo or what, little one?
No idea.
Yeah. Yeah, Gonzo and her were both good with words. I was the most ineloquent one in the house.
You did all right, Goldstream. You're close.
I believe that's correct.
It looks right.
Looks good to me. Kind of like me when I'm barbecuing, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I found out why the Carbonaceous period got all that coal. Because the plants learned how to make cellulose. Up to then, they didn't have cellulose like we have nowadays. But the bacteria hadn't figured out how to break it down.
Oh.
And so for a long time, the wood just fell down there and laid there. It couldn't go anywhere.
Huh.
And that's why we got all that coal from
that Andy, every Monday night, and unless it happens to be a bad holiday or something, but or occasionally in the summer, Keith and I are both in the field, but we try to be back here for Mondays.
Yeah. There is a delay from when you type in a comment to the time we see it. That's clear. We've tested that before.
It's a YouTube thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Hey, Patrick. Oh,
That's probably true, Patrick. I didn't think of that. Yeah, you're in tomorrow already.
that's why Eva asked Busted
Yeah.
for some lottery tickets.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, anybody who's in tomorrow needs to send winning lottery numbers.
Yeah, send numbers back.
I want more lab gear.
She needs a lab coat. Mama needs a new lab coat.
I need a lab coat. I'm a scientist now. Expect me to be a scientist without a lab coat.
As far as I'm concerned, you don't need to wear anything.
You know you have to sleep sometime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Just
kind
saying.
of.
Yeah, I just heard that one recently,
Yeah,
Daw
it was-
Binks. But yeah, the that's the explanation is that when the plants changed, it took a while for the bacteria to catch up, and in the meantime, the wood just piled higher and deeper.
That's an interesting little tidbit.
Ooh, Chris, man. Hello, Randy. How's it going?
Oh, Randy.
Where are you from? Randy Scotty Tierney.
That's-
It's that Scotty thing.
We got a lot of people tonight. That's really cool.
Yeah, we had a pretty good turnout tonight. I wish I had more stuff. Indiana, huh? Not the state best known for gold.
There's some there, though.
Yeah. You take care, Andy.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Andy.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'll try and get more done this week, folks. And you realize I didn't even get a video up. this
Yeah,
week?
I looked last night and I looked this morning and I thought, gee, I haven't heard from Keith for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Well, I will be getting stuff done. I already have
Prospector
lots of
Radio.
stuff.
Yeah.
So you can always take video of me.
How valuable is lanthanum, Goldstream? Yeah, I was on that a few times there. Things have been getting pretty hectic over here. The snow has melted, water is liquid, and so I got a lot of work to do.
Thanks for being here, Heather.
Yeah.
I have a lot to do too.
Okay, Dobbinks. Thank you, Randy. Oh, by the way, one of the doctors I saw this week at the ER lives over by the Scratch Gravel Hills and was saying, "Is a half-ounce nugget a good sized nugget?" And I'm like, "Yeah,"
From his driveway.
something like that.
Yeah, or the garden.
Yeah,
The wife gardening and digging up nuggets.
I think it was found on the surface.
Probably right
Yeah.
on the drive. I've heard of them finding them right on the driveways where they cut the driveways in over there.
No, Roberts, we have not. Not too much aware of any radioactives around here, are they?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. No, haven't bothered with that. As you well know, you can spend as much money as you want testing things.
Well, we'll get it eventually, Dobbinks.
Yeah, we could save it for next week. Could be, Chris. Oh,
boy,
goodness,
don't
I'm sorry.
start that already.
Too late. We're all doomed.
Have us all yawning here in a minute.
Oh, man. I think I'm going to have me a pain pill tonight. Get me some sleep. North Dakota, huh? My dad used to work for the Atomic Energy Commission, field geologist, around Four Corners looking for uranium in the 50s and 60s.
Well, they get some radioactivity
50s, he
from
died
the,
at 50.
some of the oil wells and that they get radioactive material.
Yeah.
But nothing in the mines around here that I'm aware of.
Not that they were mining for, at least.
Yeah, nothing they were going after.
I really don't know, but I'm quite concerned that, in my opinion, it's concerning that the Democrats do not seem concerned about how their behavior and policies will affect the electorate next election.
They don't seem to be worried about
They don't
it.
seem to be
That's
worried
scary.
about
That's
about it.
scary all by itself.
Up until now, they've always seemed to try and be kind of, coy about stuff and this and that. Now it's like, we don't care. I love that. What was the website that did that? What is a woman video?
Oh,
Daily
yeah.
Wire.
Daily Wire. If you want to see something funny, go to the Daily
Huge
Wire,
documentary.
and it's a documentary it's called "What is a Woman," and it's just a good interviewer going out there and asking a lot of
Good
like women's
questions.
studies experts and stuff. What's a woman? Could you tell me what that means? And it's amazing to see how a simple question like that just
Argonaut's got it.
screws them all up. Yeah, John, and we're precious low on helium too. Prospector Phil? Nope.
Argonaut asked why you're inquarting with
Why
silver.
do we inquart with silver? Okay. When we are trying to determine the gold that we're recovering from the resin, in the fire assay process, you wind up with a precious metals bead. Now, that bead has both gold and silver in it. So, in order to separate the two, you have to have so much silver that when you put it in nitric acid, the silver dissolves away and the gold kind of crumbles into a debris pile. If you don't have enough silver, very quickly the silver on the surface is depleted and you wind up with a kind of a semi-porous surface of gold, as all the paths of dissolution have been blocked off by gold, and therefore you can't do that. So we inquart silver to make sure there's enough silver in the bead so that when we do the parting process where we put it in nitric acid, that we dissolve all the silver that was in the bead, leaving just the gold. Then we will put that debris in a lead foil packet and recupel it. And that gives us a gold bead that's in the high 90s, like 98, 99% gold, so that we can tell how much gold there is, not how much precious metal there is.
Correct.
Okay. 1/2-inch cubes of limonite from pyrite, huh? Too bad they aren't 1-inch cubes. Then you could sell them. Yeah, I've seen some excerpts, Kodak. It's pretty hilarious how he just gets them completely flummoxed, mad. They're stopping the interview because he's saying, well, could you explain what a woman is? We're talking about women's rights and women's issues and women's. So what's a woman? Someone who identifies with a woman. Okay, identifies as what? You're just a troublemaker. This interview's over. Get the hell out of here,
Yeah, you caught them at their own game.
Yeah.
That's a good question, Chris, is, get a good assay on all of that material to figure out what's there.
Yeah, limonite can have a lot of gold in it.
Yeah, hell yes.
Take care, David.
Thanks, David, for being here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they can't handle any common sense or common, answer a common question.
You're welcome, Roberts. Good night.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Robert.
Well, the problem with common sense is it has to be logically consistent, and there is no logical consistency. You don't care the host rock, the limonite itself, because the gold is usually associated with the pyrites. So if there was gold deposited at the same time, it will be in the limonite. Yeah, that figures, Kodak. Say they're literally gone insane. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the Biden administration. No formula available.
Good one, Argonaut.
Well,
prospect.
I identify as president of the United States. What's the problem? You know?
Yeah. And who are you?
Yeah, I mean, this is the silly stuff. You can think you're whatever you want. You have no right to make me agree with you. You know? And that's the funny thing is they think just because they assert, it's like, well, I assert that you're an idiot. Do you agree with me now? You know, say it's literally crazy talk. But back even 10 years ago,
They put you in a straitjacket.
pretty much we just say you're nuts.
Yeah. They'd put you in a straitjacket and then take you to the asylum for
It's
a
like,
visit.
sorry, I don't have time to
Little
talk with crazy
vacation.
people. Interesting, Dub Inks. That's correct, Kodak, John. Yeah. And last I heard, that's kind of the definition of totalitarianism, too. Yeah.
Oh, now you're
Sig
just-
Justin.
Now you're
Yeah.
just
Mine for
being
sale is a
negative.
liar standing.
Well, I did have one guy contact me one time saying he needed to know how to check out a gold mine because next week he was going to go look at one and he had no understanding of the subject at this time. And I'm like, well, first thing I suggest you don't do it. But, you know, he sent me some information. So I went and got some information from the government, or actually Eva found it. And the information that was on the website that he was looking at was contradicted by the government information. Specifically, the website said there's like, I don't know, 10,000 tons of third of an ounce to the ton material. It's never been leached. You know, you can just leach that. I look at the government thing, it was leached in 1956. You know?
Yeah.
So, hey, Zioxio.
Hey, Zioxio.
Thanks for the help this week.
Hey there.
And so I told him, I said, well, you know, you shouldn't even consider buying anything until you've taken assays of the purported, you know, ore structure yourself.
Exactly. Or
So
third
then-
party have geologist in. Or
So anyhow, so he called up this other guy and asked, you know, is there access to the vein where I can take some samples? And he said, then the guy got all mad, says, I can tell you're not serious, blah, blah, blah. And then he hung up on me. Keith, if
good
you're
sign.
ever,
Okay.
he said,
bye.
Keith, if you're ever in Seattle, I owe you a steak. You know, and it felt good because
Well-
he was just going to get snookered, but he was smart enough to understand he didn't know enough.
Well, anytime, I mean, I always ask for help, guys. If you're in question on, especially something like that, buying a mining claim or leasing one, the more information you've got walking into that deal and understanding of it, probably the better the plan will be.
Bingbo, I like that because it sounds like an Australian town.
Bingo.
Zioxio collected some fluorescent sphalerite last summer and has been making good money selling it over the internet or at the rock shows.
See, he's always bragging about these beautiful crystal things and he never takes me to see them.
Some guys here tried to sell an unstaked claim. The geologist staked it for the now not buyer, and they went home to sue. Yeah, that's a cheap way to get a claim from somebody. They hadn't bothered to stake it. Okay. Okay, Ricky. Activated carbon is more efficient at recovering the gold from the pregnant solution than zinc. Zinc will do it, but it has some issues, and it's simply just not as efficient. Throughputs are less. For example, you have to fine filter the solution first, then put in the zinc, then filter it again. All that takes effort, whereas with carbon, you don't have to have clean solution to get the gold out of it, for example. That's why carbon has replaced zinc precipitation as the method of choice. It's just simpler and more efficient in terms of getting more gold out of solution, plus being cheaper. So that's the why. You still have to get the gold out of the carbon, though, which adds another step.
Stripping step. Yep.
However, overall, in most cases, it's superior to do that. Prospector Phil, if they're not honest or direct or whatever enough to let you sample the claim first, you don't want to deal with them because they're either crazy or trying to screw you,
Right.
or both.
Yeah. A lot of them are just plain out scams, and there's a lot of them out there.
If it's unclaimed Daubinks, that's great, as long as it's open
for mineral
for mineral exploration.
Yep.
Oh, you live near Bendigo, Patrick. Have you ever met Stuart, mad scientist prospecting? Stuart, forget his last name. But yeah, he seems like a nice guy. Buna. Didn't hear anything from Tricky about volcano in the Philippines.
He didn't say anything.
Didn't say anything. I haven't seen him sign off. Are you still here, Tricky?
He said he had to go check his bottle rolls.
Probably during her report there.
Yeah, he said he had to take off to check his bottle rolls.
Let's see what we got here. Good. Okay, got that. We're seeing if we can find
an email, huh?
Yeah, the pictures he sent.
That'd be cool.
Let's see. Come on. I really hate these things where it comes up on the screen. And why is it not allowing
Your Tricky's back up, so.
Good God. Where's date? See, I sit there and I go to click on his, and just as I'm clicking, it dropped. And it changed the from what? So now it's, see, what I need is, where is
the word date there?
There is no word
I'm
date.
coming. Please don't.
That's the frustrating part.
Received is the word you're looking for here. There you go.
Thank you.
Wow. That had to be pretty damn rich ground.
Okay, so I have two from you, Daubinks. The first one has a bunch of fine gold. And the other one.
Hey, Daubinks, John was just giving you shit. He knew that.
Good God.
An ounce to the hand. That would be some pretty rich ground, man.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
That'd be fun to find.
One of them just, it's still sitting here, but it will not load. There we go. Okay, that's also still fine gold at the very edge there. Okay. Let's see. I like this one
We
better.
just don't want to insult anybody too bad that we chase them away, John. They don't realize how much fun we have here on Monday nights.
Okay. So here's from Daubinks, folks. This is
That's some gold.
that he panned from the area there. That's definitely some good grade stuff there. How much did you pan to get that, Daubinks? Oh. So is Mount Bulasan anywhere near you, Tricky? Sluicing 2 hours? That's not bad, but nothing really exceptional then. Because you moved a fair amount of material to get that. Your sluice is doing a pretty good job of recovery. That's decently fine gold for a sluice to recover. Oh. Near Luzon near Manila, huh? Well, that wouldn't be good for Manila, would it, Tricky? Are you anywhere near? Are you on Luzon, Tricky? Don't think we'll make it, Zioxio. We're working hard.
Civic Center.
Okay, Daubinks.
This is the wrong time of the year for that, Zioxio. We got to be out in the field.
Well, that's for today and tomorrow and Wednesday, Chris. Then I'm supposed to be able to go back to work kind of full, sort of. Doctors
should just go to the mineral show.
Is the doctor watching? I don't think so. Mindanao. Let's see. Oh goodness!
I couldn't.
I know it's one of the other big ones. I think Mindanao is further south there. So let's do it this way. And where's the map? There we go. Manila. That'd be Samar. Is that
right there? Northern Mindanao.
Mindanao, yeah. Yeah, I think Luzon is the big one up top here.
Manila.
Yeah, central Luzon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Luzon is the big island to the north, and Mindanao is the big island to the south. Ah, lame Kodak. Yeah, Tricky. I know it. They used to be having some problems in Mindanao with some kind of rebels and stuff. They get that all settled down finally.
3 hours from Manila.
Yeah. By 7:07. Man, you got some old planes. Oh, Chris. Oh, man. That's harsh. Very harsh. Man, it's just getting mean now. No more mining subjects. Let's pick on Keith.
Keith, yeah. Well, it's kind of fun sometimes. Huh?
Let's bust his ball.
Yeah.
Man, they're so mean to me sometimes. I'm going to be hurt. Okay, I'm over it now.
30.
Okay, Dobbinks. Let me take a look again here. They killed them all?
Yeah, he said they settled it. They killed them all.
That'll do it. Well, they were some pretty rough characters, so I'm not too sorry about that.
Yeah.
Ooh, 1841. That's nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Wonder what size coin that is. Kind of hard to tell. Boy, that is a rough nugget.
Yeah, that's coarse.
Yeah,
See that carbon slate can help yield that really, really coarse gold.
Okay, folks. If we still have any newbies here, there you've got the nugget on the bottom and stuff. And what us old timers notice very quickly is how rough the surface is on that nugget there. That has not traveled hardly any distance at all from where it was eroded from the hard rock, because it's got some very fine, rather delicate surface features on it that would get pounded flat real quick in a turbulent water flow with some cobbles. So
no,
that's
right, probably right at source, basically.
Yeah, that's real close to source. So
yeah, when they're that coarse, they didn't go very far, if they went at all.
Yeah, that's a 1 ounce silver coin, huh? Okay.
Wow.
What kind?
I don't know, Sitting Lady Liberty or something. 1841 something.
A seated Liberty?
Seated Liberty, it looks like.
Oh, she's a beauty. That is an absolute beauty.
Yeah, that didn't go very far, Dobbinks. That's where a metal detector comes in handy. When you got stuff like that.
He said the iron there, though, is just really intense, or really hard to zero out on metal detector.
Well, you might have to go to I got a MineLab 5000 that's designed for such situations. I can sell you for about $2,500.
Yeah, and you can put a booster
My
on it and make it even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, Chris. Just dig it all. Yeah.
That's correct, Jeff. Do you take goldbacks? Enough of them? Sure.
We accept silver and gold backs. And I accept crystals.
Okay, Zioxio.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Yeah.
Mining Magnets would like to know how you do that.
Yeah.
Did you see that sluice Mining Magnets came up with? I forget what he called it.
I did, but I gotta think. I've watched so damn many videos when the weather's been crappy that.
Yeah, he used printing, 3D printing with plastic. He's got a header box and a detachable sluice with 3 different size. What do they call that?
Convex
the little circular holes.
Yeah.
In it, he's got a mounting pin on the bottom where you can hook it up on a tripod, or you just screw the little thing from a tripod in out.
Yeah.
And for power, it uses a standard. Is it a DeWalt? I think a
battery,
DeWalt lithium battery pack, and then It's got a speed controller built into the header box. And then the wire runs down the tube. It's got a quick connect there, runs down the tube to the pump, and it all fits in a bucket. So you can carry it out there in a bucket, open it up, take all the pieces, fill the bucket with water, set it up, and run it into the bucket.
Wow.
So recirculate. Nice, sweet system, man. Yep. Yeah, it was pretty well thought out. I've met Coulter a couple of times. Nice guy. I think he's got the inventor gene. You know, he really thinks things through and tries to make them work. You know,
Yeah.
think of
Well,
all
yeah,
the useful things.
You gotta have that engineering gene kind of, or that thought process.
But I mean, I say he thought even to the point of, well, it all fits in a bucket, so you can just carry it like that.
That's a cool.
Use the little lithium battery that a lot of people just have already. You know, the battery and the charger. You don't have to buy a special battery or anything like that. What do you guys know about muscovite? As far as I know, muscovite is not terribly indicative of gold. It's often thought of as gold, you know, because you see these flakes and such. But I don't know of any real association with gold.
The only association I know of, Tricky, is it can be over the top of a gold vein or system. It'll be higher in elevation usually, because it's a controlled temperature thing in the orogenics of the whole thing, that the muscovite will come out at a lower temperature than, you know, your other metals. So it can be a good indicator. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's gold there, depending on the other geology, but the mica can be above, basically in the structure of a better gold system.
Zaxa says muscovite can be associated with schist hosted gold deposits.
Correct.
Makes sense. Yeah, usually you go with the biotite's usually the yellow one, right? And muscovite is the silver one, I think.
Silver and green.
Yeah. Ricky, according to the assay book that we have, it's the balance between acid and basic fluxes. So you wind up with a neutral flux. So if you have silica, then you're going to want some soda ash. If you've got some borax, you want some soda ash. If you've got some silica and borax, according to the book, it's not going to be very fluid. I'm not sure of this. Eva's doing a lot of experiments.
I will have a report next week.
I think the biotite is it can look black, but say muscovite, I believe, is the silver one.
Exactly, Goldstream. It is a good sign that there was some metamorphosis there with a hydrothermal system.
Yeah, Zioxia was saying that when you have big pieces of mica, start looking for crystals too.
Oh, speaking of crystals, I want to go back to Crystal Park.
No kidding.
I also want to go sapphire panning.
No kidding. So I really got to get into production here. It's still closed, the Oxio? Wow. He says Crystal Park should be open soon.
Yeah. It opens like Memorial Day or later.
Tricky sending some photos.
New survey available. No, I don't want to. Close, you stupid thing. Close, you silly thing. Go to inbox. Okay, Tricky, we're waiting. Really, biotite can have enough iron to be magnetic, huh? Wow.
That's another interesting fact of the evening. Thanks, Lauren.
Millstream says often see garnet and mica schists. And of course, he actually has an open invitation to his friend Sapphire Mine. Maybe you come pick up Eva. I don't know, Prospector Phil. It would depend on what kind of ore bodies you have there.
Yeah.
Placer is
If
easier.
you found good placer, it makes a world of difference.
Yeah. Email sent. Okay, let's see how long it takes to get here. Refresh. Not here yet.
It's got to come through customs.
Oh, okay. That'd be cool, Zeoxio. Is that the one just east of town here, over by the river?
I think so.
It's flying on 707, huh? That explains it.
Big and slow.
Sounds like me. Yeah, big and slow. Lewis and Clark Sapphire Mine on the El Dorado Bar. Any idea?
I think that's on this side of the river.
Okay, here we got.
Unless it's the lower one over across. I'm not sure. I'd have to rethink that. It might be the lower one across the river.
Yeah. Muscovite's the typical clear. And when you think of mica, that's kind of what you think of.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yeah. Looks like classic. That clear white mica.
Yeah. All right. And it must be the low. Well, there's a couple mines over there, but or operating mines at least.
Don't touch my bags, if you please, Mr. Cook. If they can touch mine, they won't find anything in them.
Yours are half full.
36-inch books have been found, huh? Wow, that's pretty big.
Well, at one time they used to get those and use them for like the windows in a wood stove and that.
Yeah, okay. They used to use
Yeah.
them a lot in electronic tubes too.
Yep.
Oh. 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 Oh.
Yep.
Goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of get the pyrite and the muscovite mica confused sometimes, but
I don't know, that power supply that Chris recommended, it was relatively inexpensive. It's solid state, and it's easy to control, and I mean it'll put out over 10 amps. Yeah.
well, we made it halfway there.
Halfway? We got another 3.5 hours to go.
It's
No!
9:30, so we've done well tonight, guys.
The Helena I'm talking about is Helena, Montana, but somebody's talking about someone else. The west side of Hauser Lake, huh? Well, that'd be this side. Yeah, tricky. Here, I'll show somebody these things. I say I got to unplug my computer and then pick it up. Move it around. Oh, there's a Helena, California, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. See, there's muscovite mica. What's that magnification, Tricky?
Oh, it's 10 times again or something.
Oh, 100x, huh? Little pieces of mica. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of mountain building and weathering that's happened here over the last 150 million years ago.
Something like that.
Yeah. Where the Cherokee Placer resort, dog?
Is that Wyoming or Colorado?
That's pretty deep, Gold Stream. Is that hydraulic? Oh. I'm fading out, man. I'm
Yeah.
fading out. Oh. I think I'm finally getting a bit sleepy, folks, here. Seven-carat diamonds with 2 sets of growth, huh? Wow.
Interesting.
Hydraulic and drag line, huh? Okay. 250-foot shafts to deep placers, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they say even Alder Gulch yet has some really deep, but they can't get to it. It's impossible to do.
Too much water?
Yeah. Too much water to deal with.
And get some South Africans here. They know how to deal with that stuff.
Well, you'd have. Huh.
Well, they'll just use remote vehicles underwater. We can do these things now. We have the technology. I wonder how easily that would work.
I don't know. And you watch these guys up on Nome up there in the ocean, and it's quite interesting sometimes. And they're not even that deep.
Yeah, Argonaut, I've heard that one. Yeah. Oh. Oh, Yuri. Well, that was a good time, Resort Dog. Sometimes they're a little late on these things. Yeah, there'd be a big difference between ocean bottom mining and actually driving a drift, though. Yeah. I think it'd be more like using continuous miners, Daubinks. Okay, Resort Dog.
Okay.
Oh. Sucks to be you, Zioxio. If you ever wake up in the middle of the night with that sinking feeling, you may be right.
Might be going down. Yeah. Tens of thousands of miles, I think, isn't it?
I don't know.
The maps of that butte or something else.
Yeah, that would kind of suck to come back and your house is gone.
Down a hole.
Yeah. I saw it one time.
Or the basement goes out.
It was in the 50s. They had a practical joke show or whatever. They did one time is some people left on vacation and they moved their house. They came back, all there was a foundation. All the other houses in the neighborhood are sitting there. Now, that would be a weird feeling, huh?
There was somebody on YouTube a while back that they went up to their cabin and their cabin was gone.
Yeah.
Somebody loaded it up, hauled it away.
Sorry, John. I'm sleepy.
He's getting tired.
I need some drugs, man. I've been surgically altered today. Again. Where the sheep run wild and afraid.
Boy, some old jokes coming out now.
Oh.
That Starlink RV gold stream looks like the deal.
I don't know. Somebody brought up the point. The Chicoms may not want Starlink. They may cause problems there. Oh. Oh, man. Chris is being harsh too. No, they went and did a bunch of chemical cautery on my nose to stop the bleeding.
Yeah, were you here last Monday night, John, when he looked like a zombie?
No, a Borg.
A Borg.
Yeah, I like that. That I think is very accurate.
A Borg.
The excavation that collapsed a building in Turkey. No, didn't see that one. Oh. You just got a bad feeling about Starlink. Oh.
I don't know.
Well,
some friends of mine got the beta test out here up in the hills, and it's best internet they've ever. Well, it's about the only internet they've ever had.
Well,
they tried HughesNet and some of them other ones, and it was never worth a damn. And that, it's expensive, but they said the Starlink actually was a lot cheaper, and it's unbelievable.
Well, the thing is that you got thousands upon thousands of satellites up there, so you could get.
Watch them.
I forget what that is, where you start getting a chain reaction of things. And the other one is she doesn't want to see any one company, even with Musk, that has that much control over the information stream.
I suppose.
Kessler syndrome. Yep. If they ever come up with a thing for having one bald and a bloody nose, it could be Bowen syndrome. Yeah, they could name something after me. Sheesh. Oh. First world country like Canada. If you had a first world country, you'd have freedom. Just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, maybe. It's not looking so good here either.
I agree with that, Chris.
Yeah, me too.
I like Elon. Okay. He's quite the character, but his heart seems to be in the right place. And I like the way he just like, well, we think we got it all figured out. Let's light it up and see what blows up.
Let's see what happens.
And obviously, that needs fixing.
Yeah. It's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Instead of spending 10 years building it.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris. They all sucks, and I'm only 8 minutes from town. Luckily, I'm actually on an Ethernet connection here, so that's why we can do this and it works. Cher Ami? I have no idea who Cher Ami is. I don't know if that was deliberately misspelled or not, but yep, that's what I'm on. I'm on an Ethernet cable. You know, I'm beginning to think you have some kind of fascination with my testicles, Chris. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh boy.
I'm wondering.
Just give you as much heat as possible.
I don't know. I know you wanted to get it in a jar. Can we get that in some formaldehyde? No, they don't let you do that anymore. Oh, World War II pigeon, huh? Good. Email on the way. Oh, so tired. What time is it where you're at, Tricky? Is it like early in the morning or late at night?
They're like 16 hours ahead of us.
Yeah, it should be morning.
So it should be morning time over there then, huh?
Yeah. It's around noon over there, I believe. Somewhere between 11 and 1. Or 12 and 2.
Huh. Come on. Oh, hadn't got here yet, Tricky. Oh my goodness. I think Chris is on his pain meds now. Oh.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Phil.
Take care.
Thanks, and everybody. Been another fun night.
Oh. I think Richard sent a picture of the building in Turkey that got undermined, but it hasn't showed up yet. We're working on it. We're working on it. It's going through customs even as we speak. There it is. Turkish collapse.
Got here.
Let's see.
I am having a snack.
Those are good.
These are amazing.
I was hesitant at first to even try them, but they're really good.
Oh dear.
Oh no, 4505s are great.
It's a video.
Uh-oh.
And this is the wrong one. Let's see. They were apparently building a big hole for a big building. I would be running at this point. That's definitely feet do your stuff time, huh? Retaining wall collapse in a looks like they were digging a big hole to put a foundation for a big building in. Some weird shoring. That looks a little.
What's that sound like on there?
Let's see if I can get this.
There it goes. Holy shit. Didn't want to bend that excavator in the bottom of that hole.
I presume he wasn't. I hope there wasn't a.
Yeah, everybody, thanks for being here tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, that building up there looks a little sketchy right now.
Keep knocking them down.
Well, Look at how undermined that is. Structurally, it's got to be quite strained right now. I hope somebody's beating
These
feet.
guys are bailing on us here. So
Yeah. Okay,
everybody's
guys.
calling it.
I got to call it a night, too. As Eva loves to point out, I'm only half the man I used to be. So. 11:48 Tuesday. So about noon then. That's not too bad. Thank you, Tricky.
I told you they were 15, 16 hours ahead of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
All
more
right.
like about 12 hours, little one.
Well, thanks.
Light duty, huh? Well, give me a light.
Yeah, light duty. Light duty.
Night, Lauren.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Yeah. Good night, Ali.
Oh, hell.
Night, Chris. Night, Ricky.
Good night, everybody.
Night, Zeoxio. Night, Argonaut. Oh, I'm gonna sleep soundly tonight.
Yeah, weather's nicer.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, the window's open right now.
I know, it's nice out, beautiful.
Yep.
Finally.
All righty. Well, I'm gonna call it a night, everybody, and happy prospecting and keep it safe out there.